Welcome to Blog Talk Radio in high fidelity.
Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news in the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter podcast, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorda, and I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert, and England's adopted son, Joe Habeeb. And we have a great show for you today. And as always, you can catch us on the web at www.ringsidereporter.com. If you want to call and ask questions or just give your 2 cents, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857. Hit option 1 if you want to talk to us. We'll be here till about 9 p.m. tonight. Today, we're going to talk about Danny Garcia, and Keith Thurman is now set. Cannot wait for this one. We'll talk all about that. And I know we have a lot of listeners from the UK, but I have to rub it in. The United States, once again, one-ups the UK. Get used to it. We'll talk about that also. Bob Arum has gone on record. Robert, he's gone on record and said there is a 75% chance that Manolo Pacquiao, will fight Floyd Mayweather in their second fight. What do you think about that?
That's what I thought.
First, we're going to get started with Danny Garcia versus Sammy Vargas. Danny Garcia scored a 7th-round TKO over a game Sammy Vargas on Saturday night. Garcia sent Vargas sprawling to the floor with a big right hand in the second round. I was actually surprised when he hit him with this shot. I was surprised he got up from that. He hit him so hard, he rolled him over. The guy fell backwards, did like a back roll, and went to his knee. The ref was counting him. And he's looking at the ref, shaking his head. Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. And the ref got to 9. I didn't think the guy was going to get up. I thought he was that dazed. And so he was lucky he really made it up in time. Garcia did a good job in the 3rd round. He mixed up hooks to the body that really seemed to bother Vargas. You could tell the power of Garcia was actually a really big problem in here, man. Vargas could never really get anything offensively going. In the 7th round, Garcia had Vargas along the ropes and landed a hard 1-2 combination, and the referee ended up stopping the fight at 2:17 of the 7th round. After the fight, Keith Thurman came into the ring, and the two cut a pro wrestling promo on each other. Overall, man, I thought Garcia looked good. I think you have to consider his opponent, considering Errol Spence put this guy away in 4 rounds. I don't know, man. I thought Garcia did what he wanted to do. I thought he did pretty well. I was actually afraid this fight might go the distance, and I would have thought that would have been bad for Garcia. But even though Garcia was winning handily, he won every round. But Vargas was game. He was in there to put on a good show, put on a good fight, and he wasn't there just to take the L. He was trying to win. He just had no idea how to do it. He's completely outclassed. Robert, when you watched this fight, what did you think of Danny Garcia, and did he do what you expected him to do, or did you think he was going to do it in a better fashion? Did you think he was going to take him out sooner, or what were your thoughts on this fight?
I honestly thought that when he hit him in the 2nd round, I thought it was over. Okay, and that should have been the ending we should have had. But Garcia said after the fight he wanted rounds, and so he got his rounds. And I give Vargas credit. Garcia did what he was supposed to do, and Vargas lasted a lot longer than I thought he would. But honestly, when he hit the floor in the 2nd round, I thought that was it. So congratulations to Sammy for lasting 5 more rounds than I thought he would. And now let's get on to the real business of Garcia and Thurman, because that's the caliber of fighter that Danny Garcia should be fighting. He shouldn't be fighting guys like this.
Yeah, the sad thing about this fight was on paper it was such a gross mismatch. And I was watching this fight with my girlfriend, and she was saying, he keeps getting hit with the right hand over and over again. Why doesn't he bring his hands up to his face and try to block those punches? And I was basically, even she could see the great disparity in skill here. And I was just trying to explain to her, this is what happens when you put in a guy who was like 10 steps below another guy in skill. And, you know, if she could see how bad of a mismatch this was, then it's pretty obvious to anyone who knows anything about boxing that this was just a glorified sparring session. And even worse than the glorified sparring session, this was a one-sided beating. And it was just sad watching Vargas not being able to defend himself, because this was like child abuse. It was such a bad mismatch.
All right, Beeb, let me ask you. Go ahead, Robert.
I was going to say, Beeb, later on down the road, there might be a possibility of Garcia fighting Earl Spence. And you know what? If that fight ever happens, people are going to compare the two performances that Spence put on against Vargas and Garcia put on against Vargas. I can already see that as a promotional tool. And if you were to compare the two performances, you'd have to say Spence did a better job of doing what he was supposed to do. Go ahead, Eric. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no question about that. I mean, my gosh, I couldn't even know. Who could have imagined Spence in there last night against Garcia, man? So let me ask you a question, B, because you brought up a really good point. He got hit over and over with that right hand, and it looked as though his right hand was taped to his chin, so not to get hit with that left hook. When we looked at this fight, my dad and I were watching this fight, and we looked at it. It almost looked like Vargas was in like a modified half done Philly shell type thing, where he's got his right hand up by his chin, covering for that hook, and then he's got his left hand down around his body, and that allowed Garcia to hit him over and over with the right hand, because instead of waiting for the counters, kind of like you do with that Philly shell, he was actually moving forward and just getting blasted. There was, it was almost like the Philly shell, but with no movement, no counter range, nothing. I mean, it looked like he was doing the actual hand holding of the Philly shell, but he definitely wasn't employing it properly. What were your thoughts on that? I mean, or am I way off base on that?
Well, you made a great point, and it's something I kind of overlooked. Danny Garcia, his bread and butter is that left hook. He's got a murderous left hook, and he's knocked out several people with it, just with landing one of them. That left hook is definitely a one-hitter quitter for him. So I never thought of that, but maybe Vargas was more concerned with the left hook than he was the right hand. But after a while, you have to say to yourself, the guy keeps throwing the right hand. The left hook hasn't been coming, so I got to prepare for the right hand as well. So, in my opinion, I went over this several times. Like, people look at Mayweather employing that Philly shell type style, and everyone tries to emulate Mayweather, but very few people can really pull it off. And Vargas was trying to do things in there. I just don't think he had any answers for what Danny Garcia was going to bring. So I think the hand positioning definitely was a reason why he kept getting hit with the right hand. I mean, like I said, even my girlfriend who doesn't watch fights, the first thing she said is, "Why doesn't he pull his hands up? His hands are down by his chest." And then shortly after that, the announcers were saying the same thing. So, it's easier said than done being in there. But when you're in there with a big puncher like Danny Garcia, you definitely got to be cognizant of, being defensive. You can't go in there with your hands down by your chest, because Danny Garcia is not like any other opponent you've been in there with. He's a top level welterweight. He's a world champion. So you got to be better prepared defensively, and you got to be able to have a plan B once plan A is not working. If he's not throwing the left hook and he keeps continuously throwing the right hand, then guess what? Newsflash, you got to stop blocking the right hand. So, it is what it is. But again, this is what happens when you have a guy fighting another guy whose level's below, and it just turns out to be a bad mismatch. And luckily, this fight was stopped in the 7th round because Vargas was really getting pummeled in there. And because he's such a big guy, it looked early on he would be able to take some of those shots, because Danny Garcia was landing at will on him early on, but he kept coming forward. And then he knocked him down, and then you kind of said to yourself, "Oh wow, okay, Danny Garcia can hurt this guy. He's going to blow. He's going to get up, and in the next round he's going to blow him out of there." But again, Vargas was durable early on. He was taking some punishment, and he was coming forward. He was trying to attack. He was trying to be offensive. He definitely did not go into survival mode at all in this fight. So credit to him for that. But that can also be to his detriment, because being too brave for your own good and going in there and thinking you're going to, go at Danny Garcia, match him punch for punch and come out on the good end of that, that's a call task. So, yeah, you made some good points. I agree.
I'll tell you, I think that like with Danny Garcia, I thought he looked really good in the fight, and I thought he made some good adjustments because he's got to know that everybody knows about his left hook. And Vargas, that's the first thing he tried to do was take away that left hook. So he goes and, what does he do? He changes it up, because he's going to look for the left hook during the fight, but it's not landing. So he starts landing the right hand. Then he starts mixing it up, going to the body. I just thought, man, I thought it was a really good. I thought he looked good. And I mean, granted, you got to take into consideration his competition and everything like that. And Sammy Vargas is he's a good fighter. He's a good pro fighter, but he's not in that upper echelon. You know what I mean? Everybody thought it was a cherry pick early on, and it turns out it was. And but I thought he did what he was supposed to do. I mean, he got some rounds in, which was good, and he got Vargas out of there. And I thought he had to work to get Vargas out of there too. And I thought he did work to get him out of there. He wasn't real complacent. He didn't stand there and wait for Vargas to make things happen. He went right after this guy. And when he couldn't hit him with the left, he hit him with the right. When he couldn't hit him with the right, he went to the body. I mean, he was just all over that guy. There was it was a constant changing, evolving game plan through the fight. That was good stuff, man. I thought it was really good stuff.
But, just to add real quickly, Eric, not to jump in, but just to add real quickly off something Robbie said, because he said something very poignant a couple minutes ago. People are going to look at what Errol Spence did, and then they can compare it to what Danny Garcia did. Errol Spence, granted, is not a world champion, and Vargas took the fight with Spence on short notice, but people aren't going to really look at that. They're going to go to BoxRec, and they're going to just see how he stopped him earlier than Danny Garcia did, who was a world champion. So my whole point, and just to go back to some things I said last week on this fight, was there's really no way to put a happy face on this. It's kind of a lose-lose no matter how you look at it, because people are going to go in there and watch this and say, Danny Garcia is a world champion. What's he doing in there with Samuel Vargas, with all due respect, number one? And number two, if he doesn't blow him out of there, he leaves the door open for criticism. And like Robbie just said, made a good point, Errol Spence blew this guy out, Danny Garcia, he went rounds with him, whatever the case may be. And at no point in time in this fight did Danny Garcia look vulnerable. Did he look like he was in trouble? Did he look like, he wasn't able to do what he wanted to do? But with that being said, people can look at it and say, wow, what was he doing in there with him? Vargas was basically a guy who was 10 levels below him, didn't even belong in the same room with Danny Garcia. Why would Danny Garcia fight a guy like this? Number one. And number two, they're going to compare what Errol Spence did to him. And then even Keith Thurman jumped in the ring, and he was making fun of the fact that, hey, I ain't no cherry pick. So this just further kind of, puts that narrative out there of Danny Garcia not fighting the guys he should be fighting. Even though he does have Keith Thurman slated for March 4th, people are still going to look at this fight and say, hey, he didn't do what Errol Spence did, number one, and Errol Spence wasn't a world champion. He was a prospect coming up fighting this guy. And number two, they're going to say, what was the sense to this? What did this actually do? If you're going to spar in training. Don't spar and make people pay for it. And then Keith Thurman stuck it to him and threw him in his face, and it upset Danny Garcia. So this just adds to everyone, tweeting out these memes of Danny Garcia with the cherry pick. Now, if he beats Keith Thurman, all that will be erased. But that's a big ask, beating Keith Thurman. And that's a tall task, and that's not a given. But, this fight does not help him or prepare him for a Keith Thurman. It adds nothing. All it can do, honestly, is subtract. And that was the point of, when you're a world champion and you're active and you're defending your title, there's no need for these tune-ups at this stage of a career. It's just a bad look, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he's going to beat Keith Thurman.
I mean, what was it? If he wouldn't have fought yesterday, what was the time off by the time was it 13 months or something like that? Did I hear?
Yeah, it would have been 13 months, Eric, about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. That's a tough. I mean, trying to go fight Keith Thurman with 13 months off, man. I was, I wasn't a big proponent of this fight when it was made and everything like that. But yeah, I could, after the fight's made and you kind of watch everything unfold and see, I'm okay with it. I was all right with it. So.
Well, it was just like this when Keith Thurman was off for a long time before he fought Sean Porter. I mean, he decided, what? I'm just going to train my ass off and get ready for Sean Porter. And if I'm going to spar, I'm going to spar behind closed doors. I'm going to spar with my headgear and big gloves on, I don't need to spar in front of a couple thousand people on national television. So
and keep one thing in mind, Beeb. By the time this fight happens, Keith Thurman will have another 9-month layoff because
exactly.
He fought in June, and he's not going to fight again until March. So he's going to have a 9-month layoff, and you don't hear him saying, "Well, I need a tune-up." Keith Thurman knows what kind of fighter he is. He knows what caliber of fighter he is. He knows what level of competition to go after. You don't see him pulling a Cherry Garcia like Keith Thurman had on his Instagram last night. That was good.
Yeah. Keith Thurman's already in his head with that. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, he is. He looked upset. He looked real upset. And typically when you're that upset about it,
he was pissed off yesterday.
Yeah, he sure was. And typically, like I said, man, when you're that upset about it, there's something there, man, for sure. Well, let's talk about the other fights on the card here. Let's talk about Jarrett Hurd versus JoJo Dan. The other Swift on the card, Swift Jarrett Hurd, remained undefeated with a 6-round TKO of IBF World Welterweight title challenger JoJo Dan. He was the one that got knocked out by Kell Brook. Hurd's power eventually wore down JoJo. Dan's corner finally stopped it in that 106 of the 6th round for the TKO victory. I got to be honest here, man. This was a good win, but I wasn't impressed with Hurd at all, and I may catch a lot of crap for it, but I don't care. Hurd should have got JoJo Dan out of there a lot sooner, man. To me, with his size, the size difference when they first walked out, he should have completely run over him, and that just didn't happen. To me, Hurd fights lazy. There was no jab. He was content to let JoJo Dan push him back to the ropes. He was content to just wait for him to throw and counter, and sometimes he didn't even counter after he threw. He was okay. It was just a passive thing. He looked passive in there, letting the other guy throw. And what's going to happen when he gets somebody in there with that's better credentialed than JoJo Dan? I don't know, man. He looks to me to have all the intangibles. He's got size, got speed, got strength, and doesn't look to me like he uses a whole lot of them. So that's just my thoughts. Now, Robert, you're pretty high on Jarrett Hurd. What were your thoughts?
I have been, Eric, but I have been, Eric, and I was very disappointed with the way that he approached last night's fight. Because I've seen him fight several times on Showbox, and then he was on the undercard of the Thurman Porter fight on CBS, and every time I've seen him, he looked good. Last night, yes, he won, but I thought he could have won a lot more impressively, and I don't know whether he just had a bad night, whether he took JoJo Dan lightly, but he did not look like the Jarrett Hurd I've seen many times in the past. And hopefully, next time he goes out there, he'll look like the Jarrett Hurd I've seen. But I was not impressed with. I'm glad he got the victory, but I was not impressed with his performance because it wasn't the same fighter I've seen in the past. Beeb?
Well, this is another classic example of a fighter fighting down to the level of his opposition. And I agree with Eric. I think Hurd was a little complacent, but not only that, he was sloppy with his work. Instead of looking for clean punching, seemed to flail a lot in there, seemed to have an attitude and take an approach to this fight like, you know what, this guy can't do anything to me. So I don't really have to be on my A game here. I could go in there and pretty much coast through this fight. But sometimes when you do that, the fans don't like it. It makes you look like you're not on your A game. It makes you look less sharp than you actually could be if you took the fight a little more serious and you fought with a little bit more sense of urgency. So if you go in there like you're just going to go through the motions because you're not really concerned about what's coming back at you from your opponent, this could happen to you. I mean, this happens to the great ones sometimes. The great ones can't get up for fights like JoJo Dan. Again, with all due respect, JoJo Dan's usually a tough, durable guy, but he's not a top-level guy. He's more or less been a stepping stone these last couple of years in the sport of boxing. I don't want to use the word journeyman, but he's basically a guy who's a gatekeeper, so to speak, and that's what he was last night. The fact of the matter is, though, Hurd opened the door, but he didn't slam it shut when he opened it, and that's what we expected him to do last night. So, it is what it is. Hurd's young enough where he can come back with a strong performance against someone else, but he has to really take the sport more seriously moving forward because he didn't look like he was 100% on his best last night, and he could have done more, in my opinion, especially going off the potential that he has and the expectations that people have set forth for him.
And the funny part is that I don't think any of this really had to do with JoJo Dan. I don't think any of it had to do with it. It looked like to me he was just lazy. He was just lazy out there, And I mean, he could have put this guy away, and he just didn't. He could have put him away. It looked like at any time. That's what my dad and I are watching this fight, and I'm saying, as big as this guy is, and as hard as this guy, when he hits him, he's rocking him, and he's just not doing anything. It just looked lazy.
Yeah. Well, Eric, this brings up one of the problems that PBC fighters seem to have. They're getting paid so much by Al Heyman every time they go out there to fight. Probably some of them are getting lazy, and they probably figure in a lot of cases, I'm going to have an easy night. I'm going to get a nice paycheck. I don't have to do a whole lot. And that's what this looked like to me. He took this as an easy payday, and he fought like it. And this is one of the problems I have with the way that PBC is paying their fighters. If you're on a certain level, you get paid a certain amount, and therefore when you get a lot of money in your bank account or in your pocket, you don't take your job seriously sometimes. And that's what I think happened in this case.
Which is, to me, it's ironic because, you look at Danny Garcia, who clearly took this fight seriously and did everything he could to not only win the fight, but to get the guy out of there, got him out of there in impressive fashion. You saw him just completely working because you saw his game plan just evolve. You saw the changes being made, the adjustments being made between rounds. So if Danny Garcia can do it, who's a big name guy, you got this guy, who's not willing to do it, man. Tell you what, if I'm on not main events, but the PBC, I'm taking another look at this guy and say, hey, because you had the fight before that, the Fortuna Douglas fight. Both those guys were clearly trying to win. Garcia was clearly trying to win, and so was Vargas, for that matter. Where was he? And maybe I'm being too hard on him. Maybe he just had an off night. I don't know, but he runs into anybody, with better credentials than JoJo Dan, man. That's going to be a tough one. This is going to be a tough out for him, So I don't know. Let's move on to Javier Fortuna versus Omar Douglas. Javier Fortuna got up from a first-round knockdown to win a 10-round unanimous decision over Omar Super O Douglas. The fight went to the scorecards. Two judges had it 96-93, while the third official saw it 95-94, all in favor of Fortuna, giving him the well-deserved 10-round unanimous decision victory. These guys went at it. It was a good fight, good scrappy fight. It was Omar Douglas, the one with the long hair. And the only thing we could think about is, could they have made him cut that hair? Could the commission have made him cut that hair? Because it was long. It was in a ponytail. So. I don't know. But if I was Fortuna, that might have been a route I would go. What were your thoughts on the fight, Robert?
Omar Douglas is another one I've been high on because of his showbox performances. I think he's got a bright future, and I think this was a hell of a fight. And I don't disagree with any of the judges' scorecards because, you know what? I'll go as far as to say I wouldn't mind seeing these two fight again someday because, I've never been high on Javier Fortuna. Matter of fact, if I would have picked this fight, I would have picked Douglas to win because I've been a lot higher on Douglas than I ever have been Fortuna. But I think this was the best fight on the card, and like I said, I wouldn't mind seeing it again. I thought it was a fun fight. Beeb?
Yeah, I thought this was a very entertaining fight, and Javier Fortuna does have a tendency sometimes to start a little slow in fights, and Omar Douglas definitely took advantage of that. He came out very aggressive. He got up close to Fortuna, but Fortuna did make the adjustments. He moved away, created some space, made himself an elusive target, and I think he didn't light the world on fire. I don't think he won the fight, the rounds real decisively, but he did just enough to nick him, particularly in the second half of the fight where he was just moving and not standing still and constantly making Douglas have to chase him and reset a lot. But all in all, I think both guys put up a good effort. They put on a good performance. It was a very entertaining fight. It was like a cat and mouse game. And Fortuna was sitting when it was moving, but he was sitting there and he was setting himself and he was, stopping quick and popping and moving. So it wasn't like he was just moving without a purpose. He was moving just enough far away to create that space and make Douglas have to chase him. And then he would kind of suck him into some traps and some counter shots. So this was kind of a good fight because there's a lot of ebb and flow in it. It wasn't one-sided. It was very competitive. You could say maybe it could have went either way, but I still think Fortuna just did enough, especially with the counter punching, to eke out these rounds. And I thought it was a well-deserved decision for him. But Omar Douglas has nothing to hang his head about. This was a great performance from him as well. He just come up a tad bit short in this fight.
All right, 323-870-3857. If you want to call in and give you 2 cents, we'll be going to the phones here in a little bit. Also, too, if you guys are watching us in the chat or you guys are taking part in the chat or watching us on YouTube, you like what we're doing, we're entertaining you, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, man. We don't ask for money. We're not out here with a tin cup begging for quarters and everything like that. Just the only thing we ask is you give us good reviews. So with that, let's move on to the fight, in my opinion, the fight of the year. And tell you what, let me tell you something.
I hope you're joking.
Absolutely not. I'll tell you what, I don't know what's in store for next week with Ward versus Kovalev, but I can't imagine it'll have more action than what we saw here. I dare anybody to try to find something more exciting than the fight we saw with Luis Ortiz and Malik Scott this weekend. That was a barn burner. Action-packed, top from the first round to the last round, baby. It was action-packed.
Oh, wow.
Said nobody ever. Luis Ortiz scored a one-sided 12-round unanimous decision over Malik Scott on Saturday night in Monte Carlo. Ortiz went forward all night but didn't seem to have an answer for Scott, who was KO'd by Deontay Wilder, incidentally, friend of the show, our boy. Ortiz dropped Scott in round 4 and again in round 5. Scott was down again in round 9 but managed to go the full 12. Scores were 120-105, 120-106, and 119-106, which baffles me because I don't know who gave. I don't know which round you could have possibly gave it to Malik Scott, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, it was still a whitewash in any opinion, or in any case. I've never seen a referee help up a fighter, as was the case in this fight. Has anybody ever seen this, by the way?
Oh, my God.
Have you? I mean, who went down and he helps him up?
Never.
I've never seen this. I think the ref actually felt bad for Scott, man. This was a really, really bad fight, man. I've said it before, and it's worth noting again. I've never been that impressed with Ortiz. I haven't. You can ask Robert, go back to the old shows. I was impressed when he fought Brian Jennings, but nothing before or since then has really been all that impressive to me, man. Just my 2 cents. He should have been able to put this guy away. Now, we watched, and I was watching this fight, and I was watching that Danny Garcia fight. This was the fight I was thinking about because I'm watching that fight, and I'm watching Danny Garcia make all these adjustments and do his best to try to get this guy out of here or, make it his type of fight. And Ortiz walks forward. He plods forward. He throws a jab out, tries to, Malik Scott moves around. Luis Ortiz throws his hands up. Hey, come on, are you going to fight? Scott says, no, why would I? And he moves around some more, and Luis Ortiz had absolutely no answers. He had no answers for this guy. And I didn't see any adjustments being made. If you saw the first round, you saw the 7th round, you saw the 12th round, they were all the same. It was Luis Ortiz walking forward, having not one plan of what to do next. Could not change his game plan up, didn't try to go to the body, didn't try to slow his legs down, nothing. Ortiz did nothing. So I'll tell you what, if I'm Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder, nothing I saw that night scares me, that's for sure. Robert, you saw the fight. You saw the fight of the year. What are your thoughts?
No, I saw the fight, but it sure the hell wasn't the fight of the year. Look, I have been high on King Kong Ortiz, but after yesterday, he ain't King Kong nothing. because Deontay Wilder got rid of Malik Scott in 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And you took Malik Scott 36 minutes. I know you're 37 years old, and I know you've been out of the ring for a while because you decided to switch promoters from Oscar De La Hoya to Eddie Hearn.
How's that working?
But
That's
yesterday,
boxing. That's pro in boxing, by the way.
Yesterday your performance sucked, and you better improve, or I don't want to see you on my TV ever again.
Oh,
You're so harsh. So harsh.
Yes, I can. That was a pathetic performance. Pathetic on cable TV. You know, come on.
And Ortiz has got the nicest things to say about you.
Luis Ortiz, if Robbie had his way, Luis Ortiz is going to be working at Walmart pretty soon.
No, he's gonna join Guillermo Ringendale in Bolivia.
Siberia somewhere.
The guy has to make a living. But you know, you mentioned about how the referee helped up Malik Scott. Did you also see when he went down again how he stuck his arms up like
help me up.
Help me up again? I mean, are you serious?
I've never seen that before, man. Like they were friends.
Like, yeah.
He just stretched his hands out like he was a 4-year-old boy who just fell down. You know, help me up. You know.
Yeah, man. Like, were they drinking buddies? Did they play cards on Friday nights? What's the deal, brothers? There's something going on. But not only that, too. Each and every time that Malik Scott went down, he kept going like this, like he was getting hit illegally in the back of the head. So he was looking to get a disqualification win out of the fight. So this is the thing. It takes a lot of bravery, as I said many times, to get in that ring. But what you do in that ring defines you. Defines you as a person, defines you as a man, defines you as a fighter. And you got to carry that around with you forever. So, you know, you had the Deontay Wilder performance where a lot of people said that it looked like he took a dive. I don't know. It did look suspicious to me. The punch didn't look like it landed flush, but, you know, he decided to stay down, whatever. That's fine. Same thing against, I believe, Derek Chisora. He stayed down pretty long there. It looked like he, you know, as soon as the count was like 9.5, then he jumps up, like pretending that he wanted to get up. But, you know, did he really want to get up, or did he want to get counted up? So we don't know. So again, I'm not going to sit there and question a fighter's heart, but the circumstantial evidence suggests that more often than not, Malik Scott looks for the back door when things get tough.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're going to take a fight, you're going to be on national television, you're going to be on a cable premium network. You know, what you do, people are going to see that. And, you know, you're going to make a long-lasting impression on people. This is a guy who had a great amateur pedigree, was supposed to be a good professional, but some of his antics and actions in the ring suggest that he's really not built for this. He doesn't really want to do this. So, you know, again, it takes a lot of bravery to get in the ring. But you know what? When you get in there, you know, if you either want to fight or do you want to go in survival mode and look for the back door? Because if that's the case, then you shouldn't even be in there in the first place. And I know I'm not in there, and it's easy for me to say that and be the Monday morning armchair quarterback behind the camera. But again, you know, it's just a bad look all around. It's a bad look all around. And you know, Luis Ortiz was basically going after him, chasing him with a 1-2 all night. There was no variation in that attack. There was no effort to try to open him up, go to the body. It was just a very simplistic, basic attack. And if he's going to fight a top-level guy, he's going to have to come with more than that. I mean, he was able to be successful with that left hand against Jennings because Jennings was coming at him. But once the fights get more sophisticated and they get more difficult and the opponents start, you know, changing things up on you, you're going to have to change up your attack as well. So if your opponent is giving you a different look and he's taking away your left hand, then you got to come with something else because, you know, Malik Scott basically was able to survive and go the full 12 because all he was doing was running away from the left hand all night. There was nothing else coming at him. So, you know, a more seasoned fighter would have been able to get Malik Scott out of there, in my opinion. And Ortiz, definitely a lot of question marks on him. right now, I think Anthony Joshua starches him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the way he's been looking. Like I said, I've never been that impressed with Ortiz. I mean, he does a lot of things very well, but I've never been like overly impressed with Ortiz. And I think Joshua's speed, I think Wilder would get him out of there. I think Joshua would get him out of there. Yeah, and you could tell from the get-go that was Malik Scott's MO was just to run around, and not get hit. That was Did you guys ever see the movie Life of Brian? There's a scene in the movie Life of Brian.
I don't believe I have.
I don't think so.
I'm surprised, Beeb, because it's a Monty Python thing. They're from the UK. Come on, they're your brethren. All right, so there's a scene in the Life of Brian where the guy's in there. He's in this gladiator arena, and it's like this real scrawny guy. And they give him a sword and a shield. And, I mean, this guy looks like he's about 120 pounds. And then they look over at the other side, and they bring out the gladiator. He's going to fight. And this guy looks like he's about 220. He's ripped to the nines, just completely shredded. He's got the full gladiator gear, the armor, and everything like that. The guy looks at him. He throws his sword and shield down and just starts running and makes the gladiator chase him. And pretty soon, the gladiator gets tired. The gladiator gets tired, has a heart attack, and dies right there. And then the guy goes over there, puts his foot on his chest, and starts celebrating and everything like that. That reminded me of the fight last night. That was if you saw that scene, you saw this fight last night. You saw Malik Scott just aside from the heart attack, of course. Malik Scott just run around the ring, waiting for Luis Ortiz to tire or do something, but it just never happened, man. But that was what his whole plan was, to stay away from that big power, and to a large extent, he did it. And Luis Ortiz had no real answer for the movement, which was really surprising. Given the fact his amateur pedigree and everything like that. And he's had, 26 fights, man. Well, come on. Your corner's there, everything like that. So, so much for that fight of the year there. Jamie McDonald was also on the undercard versus Laborio Solis. McDonald won a decision, 116-112, 115-113, and 117-111. And so there you go. And also my man Martin Murray versus Nuhu Lawal was on the undercard there. Martin Murray won the 12-round decision, 116-111, 117-110, and 117-110. So he gets back in the win column. And that was it for the fights this weekend, except we had one big one. We'll talk about the UFC here. UFC 205 took place in New York City last night. For the first time ever, the UFC went to New York. UFC 205 card took place in Madison Square Garden in New York City. According to my close personal friend, Dana White, who you can see on my Twitter, and, got my pictures with him. I'm close personal friends with him. He's my man. The event shattered all UFC records, including pay-per-view, Fox ratings, etc., attendance at Madison Square Garden anyway. Like it or not, Conor McGregor is the biggest draw in combat sports right now. No one else is even close. Maybe Ronda Rousey, but think about that. We're talking about two UFC stars, no boxers in that equation. Not Floyd Mayweather, not Manny Pacquiao. I'm telling you, these are the two biggest stars in combat sports today right now. As for the fight itself, Conor McGregor, the main event, fought Eddie Alvarez. Conor McGregor walked right through Eddie Alvarez. McGregor hit him with straight left hands all night that seemed to find their mark, always seemed to hurt Alvarez. Alvarez tried to get him to the ground, which is his bread and butter, but McGregor was able to keep the fight standing. Alvarez was trying to get started by throwing right hands against the southpaw McGregor. And just minutes into the fight, he was knocked down by a blistering counter left by McGregor. And that was pretty much the way the fight went for the next couple rounds. The fight only went to 2 rounds, I believe. The end came in the second round as McGregor had Alvarez in trouble again, and referee Big John McCarthy stopped the fight. McGregor, this was significant because McGregor has now become a 2-division champion in the UFC, the first UFC 2-division champion in history. He currently holds a belt in the featherweight, and now he currently holds a belt in the lightweight division. He's gone on record saying he wants to defend both of them. We'll see. I wasn't surprised that Conor McGregor won, even though I picked Alvarez to win. I was surprised at how easy this was for him. Nobody ever walked through Alvarez like that. That was insane. The one thing I did find really, really funny is that Skip Bayless apparently tweeted last night after the fight that McGregor could definitely go the distance with Mayweather and probably even hurt him a few times. Seriously? Skip Bayless kills me. Other winners on the card.
Eric, you're
Let me just run this down here. Other winners were Tyron Woodley, the champion, welterweight champion Tyron Woodley, got a majority draw over Stephen Thompson. He retains the title, but it was a draw. Yoel Romero KO'd Chris Weidman with a vicious flying knee that had Weidman bleeding like a stuck pig after that. Joanna Jędrzejczyk beat Carolina Kowalkiewicz to retain her title. And Raquel Pennington beat Miesha Cupcake Tate. After the fight, Miesha Tate said it would be her last one and that she's going to retire. So you may ask, why is UFC killing boxing and pay-per-views? 3 title fights on this card. Let me rephrase that. 3 competitive title fights and the main event that people actually cared about. So pay attention, Bob Arum. Yes, Robert, you had a question.
You're the UFC guy. Is he going to be able to defend both titles? Is Dana White going to allow this?
I don't know. Dana White has been steadfast in saying he's got to fight one or the other. I mean, he's had that featherweight title for a while now. I think maybe 13 months or something like that, and he has not defended it. And he just won the 155-pound, which is their lightweight title last night. So, yeah, I don't know. Conor said he wants to do that, but whether he's allowed to or not, I don't know. So it should be interesting. All right, let's go to the phones right now.
Okay.
405, Oklahoma, I believe. 405, you're on. 405, you're alive.
You're on the air.
Going once. Hey, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Watching my Cowboys beat the Steelers.
Nice. Hate the
That
Steelers.
was a great game, man. That was a great game.
Hate the Steelers.
Yep.
So what's on your mind, man? What did you think of the Garcia fight?
Now, to be honest, I didn't watch the Garcia fight. I watched the Fortuna fight and Douglas fight. Then I had some stuff to do, but
yeah,
the Fortuna fight, he impressed me. Getting dropped in the first round, in the beginning of the first round, the way he came out, like, man, he thought he get caught with something because he didn't look careless, like, and then he got caught with the hook by Douglas. But the thing that impressed me, he got back up and beat him after that.
Yeah.
Douglas looked pretty good. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch like Robbie said.
Yeah, I didn't hate that fight. I didn't hate that fight at all.
No, I thought it was a good fight. And then on the day I watched the Luis Ortiz fight, and man, I'm high on Luis Ortiz. I think he's a real deal in the heavyweight division, but Malik Scott just went in there trying to survive.
Yeah.
Right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Even in the first round, I believe the referee told him, he stopped him and said, "Hey, you need to fight."
I've never seen that in the first round
first
before.
round.
Yeah, I've never seen that in the first round before, man, where the referee actually stops you and tells you, "Hey, let's mix it up here." You know, yeah, he was in survival mode for sure.
Yeah. The only thing that bothered me was Ortiz was like he was trying to catch him with that left hook. Like we just trying to get him out, and like Beeb says, he wasn't trying to open him up. And like, I believe it was like in the 5th or 6th round, Luis Ortiz corner said, "Hey, open him up like a can of tuna." Because like y'all said, Malik Scott was just looking for the left hook. But
absolutely, man.
This fight doesn't. This fight doesn't do anything for me. I still think Luis Ortiz is real. Long layoff. This fight does not want no piece of it. And when you got a fighter in there who's just trying to looking to survive, it's hard to get him out. I believe Luis Ortiz has done more to get him out, but he didn't. But I think Eddie Hearn kind of messed up. He should have gotten somebody in there who was looking to fight. But
you know,
that's how it goes.
I think his logic was, well, Deontay Wilder took care of this guy in 90 seconds. So Ortiz should be able to do the same thing. He should be able to do, give him a show, but get him out of there also. It should be a good showcase fight. And I think that's what he was thinking. But I think, nobody ever banks on the fact that this guy is just going to go into stall mode and just, not fight, so. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what happened. He went into survival mode, and
so what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on the Kovalev Ward fight coming up next week? Are you going to watch this on pay-per-view?
I'm watching on paper. I was talking to my brother today, and he asked me about it, and so I'm going to his house, help him pay for it. But I'm watching it live.
Yeah.
I mean, on pay-per-view. I'm not streaming this one.
No,
I'm
this
not streaming this one.
This is the one to buy, everybody. Get your money out because it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I believe Kovalev is going to get him. I think a lot of people doubt Kovalev's boxing skills. Of course, against the Chilemba fight, Kovalev looked flat-footed, but I think it was the fight before that when he fought Muhammadi. Of course, it's Muhammadi, but you see Kovalev in the ring, like bouncing around, hitting angles, like moving to the side and hit him with the right. Of course, it's Kovalev. I mean, with Muhammadi, but in the Chilemba fight, he just looked flat-footed. He looked like I'm not sure how he looked like he didn't take it serious. Everybody says that it was a homecoming for Kovalev, but he went back to Russia, and it's not like he was going back to his family and friends. The thing I read online before is that he was with the Russian mob. I'm not sure how true that is, but I'm not sure how happy he was to going back. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
nobody knows.
I tell you,
well, the time when you go back.
Go ahead, Robert.
I was going to say, I've read certain things on that, and it appears to be true. Of course, he won't talk about it, but apparently he used to be quite the person to collect debts and whatnot. That's one of the reasons why he's so tough.
He doesn't go into that, does he?
Yeah. The inside scoop.
So, Robbie's connected. He knows all the connected guys, man.
Robbie hired him a few times to collect money for him.
No, I don't have those kind of connections.
And but it's gonna be a good fight, guys. It's gonna be a good fight. I think hopefully, I'm not sure it's gonna be a fight like everybody thinks. Like it's gonna be like a slugfest, but hey, everybody brings their own thing. Ward brings, each one of them brings their own skill. That's the good thing about the fight.
No, the one thing I don't think it will be a slugfest. It's going to be a chess match.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those kind of fights. It seems like they're each going to have a game plan of which one is going to work the best.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's gonna be. Are you guys buying it?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna buy it. Yeah, I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I
think you support stuff like this. This is the thing. I mean, so like when we had Manny Pacquiao and Jesse Vargas on there, I mean, that's not $80 fight, man. That's not an $80 fight. It's not worth it. I wouldn't ask you to buy it, and I'm not gonna buy it. But when we have a good card, a good fight, a worthy fight. Now, whether the fight turns out to be that way or not, it doesn't matter, because that's the gamble you make. That's the gamble you do. Is it worth X amount of dollars or not? I don't know. But I know we got two big name fighters in here, 2 pound for pound fighters in here, 2 of the best fighters at the division. Yeah, this is the one you pay for. Not Pacquiao and Vargas and the other stuff, man. That's for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This is the
absolutely.
Yeah, this is the one you pay. You put your money on, and after that you have the Watford and Lomachenko versus another good fight. But I'm just excited for this fight.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I can't wait. We've been waiting for this one for a long, long time. That's for sure. And with that, we're gonna.
Do you guys believe?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Eric.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do you guys believe the winner of this is pound for pound?
You know what, man? I'll tell you what. No, because I've always thought that Andre Ward is the top pound for pound guy. I've said this for a long, long time. Even when Floyd Mayweather was active, I said that Andre Ward was the top guy. And if he loses, I don't necessarily think you put Kovalev on that branch. It's tough to say, man, because it's tough. Because Ward, 160, 168, 175, he's the guy. I don't know how you can dispute that. But I don't know how you can say that one guy can be top, pound for pound if he doesn't move weight classes. I don't know.
And Andre, Eric, correct me if I'm wrong. Hasn't Ward only fought in 2 weight classes, only 168 and 175?
No, didn't he fight at? Well, I thought he fought at 160, didn't he? I could be wrong.
No, he had a few fights at 160. No, he had a few fights at 160. He just never won a title at 160.
Oh, okay, that's what it was.
All right.
Yeah, early in his career, yeah, he was a 160 pounder.
Yeah.
Okay, but he never won a title there. Okay.
No, he did not. No.
No, I personally don't believe it. The winner is pound for pound, but the winner was to go on. If I think better Beeb is a mandatory for the next fight. I can't remember if it's like the IBF.
Yeah.
Now if they were going to beat him, then I would put another one.
Yeah, better Beeb's no joke, man. I mean that. Yeah, you're not really doing the winner a favor if they got to fight better Beeb. I mean that guy's a terror too, man. That's not an easy out, man. That guy's a monster. Yeah, for sure.
The winner of the light heavyweight division is kind of stacked with better Beeb, Chombransky, and if you could get Stevenson to fight, you still got some tough fights in there.
Stevenson, as long as they fight somebody. I mean, Stevenson is another one where I'd like to see him in there with anybody. I mean, he's been, anybody with a pulse. Why? I mean, I want to see him in there in the mix.
Now there's a guy who cherry picks. My God, he hasn't had a tough fight since he won the title.
And he's a good fighter, man. He's got a lot of power. I mean, he's a good fighter. I mean, why? He said, of course, he's come out this week and said, of course, I want the winner of Kovalev and Ward, and everybody's just like, yeah, right.
What does he want the winner of Kovalev Ward? What's he want to play them in Xbox or?
Right. He wants to play him in Xbox Fight Night or something like that. The funny part is even Stevenson.
We want to play him in air hockey.
Yeah, the funny part is even Stevenson's not going to play himself in Fight Night. He's going to save somebody else. So.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
All right, man. We're going to go ahead and get running here. We're going to talk about the upcoming fight, man. We appreciate your call, man. Thank you so much for listening, man. We definitely appreciate it for sure. And glad Dallas beat Pittsburgh today because I'm not a big Steelers fan at all, as most of you know. I'm a Bengals guy. So for
you Cowboy fans out there, I don't want to hear any more talk about Tony Romo.
Oh.
Dak Prescott is your quarterback. He's won 8 consecutive games. He just walked into Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers. I mean, I don't want to hear any more talk of that.
And let me tell you what, that ain't no easy task either. That's a pretty big deal that he went in there and did that, man, for sure. That's a big one there, man. So yeah, Cowboys look like they got themselves a quarterback, man, for sure. All right, let's go to the upcoming fights here, and we're going to start at November 18th from Indio, California, and it's going to be on Robbie's favorite station, Estrella TV. Mauricio Herrera versus Pablo Cesar Cano, 10 rounds welterweights. Also, too, on the Unimas on that same day. And Robbie, you're my savant. Is that the Friday or Saturday, the 18th?
That's Friday.
Right.
Because the big fight's Saturday.
Right. All right. From Florida on Unimas, Christopher Diaz versus Fernando Vargas, 8 rounds featherweights. And Julian Rodriguez versus Jerry Belmontes, 8 rounds junior welterweights. Also on that Friday on CBSSports.net, Reynaldo Blanco versus Demon Brock, 10 rounds lightweights. And from London on that same day, but I don't see any televised here. I don't know if it's going to be on Box Nation or what. George Groves versus Edward Newtek. Maybe Newtek? I don't know. I'm probably butchering this guy's name, which is awful. He'll be on that card. And
Talk to Dave for that one.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And Andrew Selby versus Jake Bernia, 12 rounds flyweights. Let's see here. What else here? And that's it on Friday. That's enough. That's a lot. November 19th, the big one on HBO pay-per-view. Sergey Kovalev versus Andre Ward, 12 rounds for Kovalev's WBO, IBF, and WBA light heavyweight title. I don't care if he doesn't have the WBC title. He is the undisputed light heavyweight champion until somebody says otherwise. That's just the bottom line. That's the way it goes. Like it or not, he's the man in that division. On the undercard, Maurice Hooker versus Darlise Perez, 10 rounds junior welterweight. Isaac Chilemba, who fought Sergey Kovalev and gave him some issues, man. It wasn't an easy fight for him. Lost clearly, but still gave him some issues. Isaac Chilemba versus Alexander Kvazdik, 10 rounds, light heavyweights. Curtis Stevens versus James De La Rosa, 10 rounds middleweights. And Darmani Rock versus Bruce Brittany Coe, 4 rounds heavyweights. And the debut of Clarissa Shields versus Franchon Cruz, 4 rounds female super middleweights. And that'll be the debut for her. And also, too, you don't have to pay for that fight. That fight is going to be on free prior to the actual pay-per-view. And I can't wait to see that. I'm really, really excited to watch Clarissa Shields. I'm actually really excited because I want to see if they do the right thing. Because we haven't had a star quite as big as Clarissa Shields since maybe Layla Ali. You know, and prior to that, it was Christy Martin. This is a big deal. And I really want to see if the promoters can handle this and make her a star. I want to see, you know, she talks. She's got a great personality. She talks the talk. I want to see if they can make her a star, a la Ronda Rousey or a la all those females in the UFC. They've done a super job. Let me break this down for you. UFC 205 last night, there was 5 fights on the pay-per-view. 2 of them were headlined by the women. So 1 title fight and 1 non-title fight, they were all headlined by the women. People, and you know what? I watched them all. I didn't mind. You know, that's what it should be because you're watching fights. The fighters have evolved. I'm really hoping that they can do something with Clarissa Shields. I really am. Robert, you got called out for being a sexist last week. Are you excited to watch Clarissa Shields?
No, but I am interested to see how boxing handles this. No, Eric, I'm a guy that sticks to my opinion.
Doesn't even change his opinions. That's terrible. Terrible.
I'm willing to see how this is handled. But I've got to tell you, I'm not excited about it.
Wow.
And maybe I'm wrong, but, you know.
Terrible. Terrible, Robert. Terrible. All right. And let's move across, and we'll come back to this card in a minute, but also, too, on that Saturday on beIN Sports in Espanol from Mexico, Jorge Paez Jr. versus the dreaded TBA, 10 rounds junior middleweights. And, yes, Jorge Paez Jr. is still around. From Germany on Saturday, and we could probably catch this on Box Nation as well. I know my boy Davey Boy Essex is probably going to have it. Marco Hook versus Dimitro Kutcher, 12 rounds cruiserweights. Oh, and the friend of the show from Mashantucket, Connecticut. All right. Boyd Melson. And this probably won't be televised or anything like that, but if you're in the Connecticut area, if you're in Mashantucket, go see it. Go see it. Go support Boyd Melson. Boyd Melson versus Courtney Pennington, 8 rounds middleweights. Boyd is a friend of the show. He does the whole fight to walk thing. You can get that link on our website. He did a 2-hour interview with us, gave us 2 hours of his time. Boyd's just an amazing guy. He fights all of us, his whole purse. He doesn't fight for money. He's got a real job. He's kind of like us. He's got a real gig, all right? He's got a real job outside of boxing, but he boxes, and the money that he gets, the proceeds that he gets, pays his trainers with. Of course, they all get paid. Everything that's profiting out for him goes to charity. He is an amazing, amazing guy, and I can't say enough good things about him, man. I really can't. He's just a super guy, man. Just one of the best guys out there, man. So if you get a chance to see him live or whatever the case may be, go see him. Go support his cause. Go to Ringside Reporter. Click on the Fight to Walk link. Donate to it. Amazing, amazing guy, man. So that's my spiel on Boyd. Friend of the show, Boyd Melson. All right. So, Beeb, you were not called out for being a sexist pig last week. What do you think of Clarissa Shields' debut here? Are you excited to watch it?
I am excited. We need a Clarissa Shields right now in boxing. We don't have a Chrissy Martin anymore. We don't have a Lucia Riker. We need a Ronda Rousey. I don't care what Robbie says. We need a Ronda Rousey type figure. to inject some life into this sport. Pacquiao's on the way out. Mayweather's retired. I'm hoping Andre Ward can carry the torch. Anthony Joshua is another bright spot, but you know what? We need versatility in this sport, and I am excited about seeing Clarissa Shields as a professional fighter next week. I'm not squeamish about it. As long as she's not punching the Beeb in the face, I'm all right with it.
I hear that. Georgie Porgy just put Beebs for president 2020. Oh, that's right.
Beeb's running.
Beeb's running.
running.
Well, you can't do any worse than what we did there Tuesday. So we'll talk about that. But all right. So now, this is what everybody's been waiting for. The 5-star parlay of the year coming from the Beeb himself. This is Beating the Odds with Beeb.
And now it's time for Beating the Odds with Beeb. Starring Britain's adopted son, Joe Habeeb.
All right, Beating the Odds with Beeb is finally back after a long hiatus, and we've returned with a blockbuster. Today we will break down a fight that I've been looking forward to for a long, long time, and that is next Saturday's huge light heavyweight showdown between Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev. Now, Andre Ward is a -135, while Sergey Kovalev is a -115. So this is virtually a 50-50 fight on paper, but Beating the Odds with Beeb sees it entirely differently. First off, we all know Sergey Kovalev is perceived to be a fearsome puncher with a very high knockout percentage, much like his European counterpart, Gennady Golovkin. But just like Golovkin, there's a lot more to Kovalev than just punching power. He's a fighter who doesn't just look for that one punch like many power punchers do, but he has the ability to really open up and dissect his opponents. And, he can throw feints. He has a very educated jab. And he has that ability to cut off the ring, corner his opponents, trap them in the corners, and, really break them down and wear them out. He's not that one-punch knockout guy. I see him as more of a clubber. So he needs to put a few of them together to really get his opponent out of there. He's not a one-trick pony. He's not a guy who just looks to destroy his opponent. He's a systematic killer. Andre Ward, on the other hand, in my opinion, what he lacks in punching power, he more than makes up for it in boxing ability. And I'll have to say, in my own humble opinion, Andre Ward is the most versatile fighter in the sport because he can fight in the orthodox stance as well as the southpaw stance, and he's effective in both stances equally. He has the ability to fight on the inside, fight on the outside, and fight in the mid-range. But the one thing, in my opinion, about Andre Ward that really stands out here is his ability to fight on the inside. Because he not only is effective offensively on the inside, but he's very effective defensively as well. He's able to position himself while he's on the inside, off to the side of his opponent, keeping his head off center while he's able to land shots while his opponent is not able to return fire and land those counter blows. Not only that, he's a hard guy to pin down because he can go in and out. He can use his feet, which he's very quick on his feet as well with his hands. And one thing that is entirely overlooked here with Andre Ward is his physical strength on the inside, and I've said it several times, because he has the ability to really wrap his opponent up, contain them, not allow them to get their offense going, not allow them to move their hands on the inside and punch. And he's able to maneuver them and line them up for his own shots and basically walk them backward, keeping them off balance. So he's essentially shown the ability to be a bully in there with his physical strength. And I think that was a big factor in him winning the Super Six, because one thing that he was able to do really well was really muscle those guys on the inside, contain them, and not allow them to do what they want to do. So he was able to take, their best weapons away from them, while he was able to impose his will on those guys on the Super Six, and that's why I feel he won that big tournament. Now, there's been a lot of criticism of Andre Ward because of the long layoff and because of the opponents that he has chosen in coming back after that long layoff. But I have a question to ask. Besides Bernard Hopkins, who does Sergey Kovalev really have on his resume that's been impressive? Number one. And, number two, he wasn't able to knock out a 50-year-old Bernard Hopkins. He wasn't able to knock out an Isaac Chalender in his last fight, who many thought he should have knocked out. He was expected to do so, but he did not. So if he can't knock out those two guys, how is he going to knock out a quicker, more elusive target, master boxer in Andre Ward? I just don't see that happening. So, in my opinion, definitely Sergey Kovalev has the advantage in punching power, but Andre Ward, in my opinion, has every other advantage in this fight. Boxing ability, speed, quickness, defense, just a great cerebral boxing mind in Andre Ward. I don't think that Sergey Kovalev possesses those same attributes as Andre Ward. As skilled as Sergey Kovalev is, from a boxing standpoint, from a boxing IQ standpoint, I just think Andre Ward is on another level. So the only thing I think Sergey Kovalev can do is have a puncher's chance in this fight. And I'm not going to bet on a guy who has a puncher's chance. I'm going to bet on a guy who brings a more extensive skill set to the table, which Andre Ward, I feel, really does. So let's cut to the chase here. Who wins and why? I just think that, Andre Ward is going to be a very elusive target in this fight, whether he's on the inside or on the outside or in the mid-range area. When he's on the inside, he's going to be able to wrap up and contain Sergey Kovalev and frustrate him and not allow him to unleash those power shots. And when he's on the outside, he's not going to stand still for Sergey Kovalev and allow him to set his feet. He's not going to allow Sergey Kovalev to trap him in the corner and impose his will, because Sergey Kovalev really likes to set his feet where he can dig in with those shots. And a big weakness that Sergey Kovalev does have is when he throws that right hand, he brings that back foot forward and he squares himself up. And he's able, because of that, he makes himself a bigger target and easier to hit target, number one. And number two, he can be caught off balance and get knocked down by punchers who really aren't that hard of a puncher. Case in point, when he got knocked down by Blake Caparello in 2014, it was basically an off-balance shot. So don't be surprised if Andre Ward can't, sneak a quick knockdown, a flash knockdown in there, maybe 1 or 2 rounds in the fight. So with that being said, I'm going to bet on a guy who I think is the most complete fighter in the sport, who I think is the best fighter in the sport today, and Andre Ward. I'm looking for Andre Ward to outbox Sergey Kovalev in a not so competitive fight, or not as competitive fight as people are thinking. I'm looking for Andre Ward to win this fight, maybe 9-3, possibly 8-4, but I think it's going to be a clear-cut decision. I think Andre Ward just has too much skill for Sergey Kovalev. I think he's going to take the power away from him. He's going to take his weapons away from him, and it's going to be a tall task for Sergey Kovalev. Beating the odds of Beeb is going to put up the 135 to get that $100 return, and we are going with Andre Ward.
Oh, there you have it. Beeb's 5-star play of the year. 5 stars right there. All right, so let's take a look at Beeb's track record here in a minute. But let me tell you this, and we'll get Robert's opinion here in a minute. I agree with just about everything Beeb said, man. It's tough. This is a tough one because I like Kovalev a lot, and Kovalev is a fierce boxer. My question is, will Andre Ward be able to bully him? I don't know, because Andre Ward does that to a lot of guys. He's stronger than he looks, man. He will bully you around that ring, and I don't know that he's going to be able to do that to Kovalev. That being said, I don't think he needs to do that. I think he's going to frustrate Kovalev with his movement. When Kovalev throws that right hand and he just misses by just millimeters all night long, I think that's going to be I think there's going to be a frustration factor. I think that's going to bring Kovalev into some mistakes, and I think Andre Ward is going to capitalize on him. I don't see any knockdowns here. I see it kind of being a chess match in a lot of ways. I see this in a lot of ways being like the Isaac Chilemba fight. I see that Sergey Kovalev, the Sergey Kovalev that showed up against Isaac Chilemba, that's the guy you're going to see, because he's not going to be able to just freewheel out there and throw punches left and right and connect left and right. It's going to be a chess match. No one has ever dominated Andre Ward, and I don't think it's going to start Saturday night. Kovalev is bigger. He's strong. I believe he's stronger. I believe Ward is quicker. I just think that Ward has more ways to win. I think Ward is a better boxer. You're talking about a guy who has not lost since he's 12 years old, and he's fought the best out there. It's not like he's fighting chumps, man. He has fought the best out there. That's my thing. When I think about this fight, who has more ways to win? I don't see Kovalev out, but the only way Kovalev outboxes Ward is if he gets a knockdown or gets him in trouble early and takes him down the stretch. Other than that, I don't see a way he does it. I could be wrong, but we'll find out. I just think, like I said, at the end of the day, Ward has too many tools. He can beat him a number of different ways. Kovalev has one way to get him, and that's to get him hurt and get him out of there, or get him hurt and stay on top of him from round to round. But each one of those scenarios involves getting Andre Ward hurt, which I don't think will happen. So I'm going to agree with Beeb. I think that Andre Ward gets him. Andre Ward will win a unanimous decision. 116-112, 8 rounds to 4, somewhere 8 rounds to 4, 9 rounds to 3. It'll be it will be a clear-cut decision for Andre Ward. There will be no questions at the end of this fight. 9 rounds to 3, 8 rounds to 4. It'll be somewhere in there. Robert, who do you like and why?
Well, guys, I can't argue with anything either one of you said. I, too, like Sergey Kovalev, but Sergey Kovalev doesn't have the skills to pay these kind of bills. I'm gonna bring up a fight that drove everybody crazy. To me, this fight looks like Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez. I think Kovalev has never been on this kind of stage before. Neither has Ward, but Ward has been in with better competition, and he's been on the bigger stage. He's never been on pay-per-view, but I think Andre Ward is going to use his defensive skills, his boxing skills, and I think the strength. Eric, you said that Kovalev is stronger. I think Andre Ward is going to show that that's not the case. I think it's a 50-50 split on who's stronger. But I think Andre Ward is going to dominate him, and I think it will be 9 rounds to 3, 10 rounds to 2, unanimous decision, Andre Ward.
Wow, it went deep, man. 10 rounds to 2.
Let me just say one thing. Yeah, let me just say one thing real quick, because strength in boxing is perceived, in so many different ways. You can look at a guy as being physically strong when he grabs you and clinches you and pushes you back, or strength can be looked at as just raw punching power. Where I think Kovalev may be or most certainly is the harder puncher, I don't think he's as physically strong as Andre Ward. Because, when you looked at Sullivan Barrera, who probably was 200 pounds in the ring that night, Andre Ward wrapped his arms around Sullivan Barrera, and he clinched him, and he basically had his way with him. And he bullied Sullivan Barrera, who was a much bigger guy, 2 inches taller, probably the night of the fight, 15 to 20 pounds heavier than Andre Ward. And, the size did not make a difference. It did not translate into physical strength. Andre Ward is like that guy in the playground that, everyone looks at like, he ain't nothing. He ain't nothing. Let me go try him. And then when they go, he's a quiet guy, sits in the corner. And then they go try him because he's a quiet guy, thinking that they could make a name for themselves, embarrassing the little quiet guy in the corner and maybe take his lunch money. But he's the bully killer because he out-bullies bullies. In that Super 6, what he did was monumental because he was not expected to win that tournament. And, he wasn't the biggest guy in the world in that tournament. But, he imposed his will on those guys. Carl Froch is bigger than him. After Abraham is thicker and stockier and bigger than him as well. Alan Green, bigger than him. And he just tossed those guys around the ring like they were nothing. He grabbed them and threw them around and pushed them back and wrapped them up, and they couldn't break his clinches. So when you hear fighters say, all he does is grab and hold, well, if that's all he does, then why do you allow him to do it? Why can't you break free of the clinches? The simple answer to that is because he is physically strong. And he just is able to contain guys. And it's just very surprising because if you looked at him, you wouldn't think he was as strong as he is, when you watch him in the ring. Because he's not a big guy. He's about 6 feet, 180 pounds at best. And he's beating these guys who weigh probably 190, 195, and really throwing them around the ring. So it's very impressive how physically strong this guy is. And I think that's going to translate into the fight next Saturday. And I think people are going to be very surprised when they see him frustrate Sergey Kovalev and grab him and then toss him and push him back and maneuver him with those clinches. I think people are going to be shocked when they see that next week.
Also, Beeb, your comments brought up to mind another fight. Remember when Jeff Lacey went over to Wales and fought Joe Calzaghe? Okay.
Yes.
Everybody back when Joe Calzaghe was the 168-pound champion and dominating the division, most of his opponents, they would sit on the outside of the ring and they would say, "Oh, that looks easy. I could go in there and do that." And Jeff Lacey, I can remember as clear as day. He talked the talk and said he was going to go and do this and go and do that. And in the first round of that fight, he got hit by a tremendous shot, and he realized early on, "Oh no, I'm in here with somebody a lot better than I thought he was." And of course, if memory serves, Joe Calzaghe never lost a fight. So I think you have to look at Andre Ward. Now, we complain a lot of times about his opponents, just like we did with Floyd Mayweather. But you have to look at Andre Ward as this unsolvable Rubik's Cube that no boxer is going to be able to figure out. I think that's the challenge that all light heavyweights are going to be faced with. If they step in there with Andre Ward, are they going to be able to figure out the Rubik's Cube? And I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, another point to bring up here, too, is I'm a firm believer in, I think the fight starts before the first bell even rings. And I think that Ward's already in Kovalev's head. He's already in John David Jackson's head, the trainer. Because, Kovalev said things like, he didn't show up to the press conference. He disrespected me. That really bothered me. So and Ward responded with, well, you know what? I don't have to respect him. And if he doesn't respect me, I don't care. He said, this is a fight. Obviously, I'm prepared to fight him. I'm not taking him lightly. But, I'm not going to give him any respect. That's my enemy. That's a guy who's trying to take food off my table. I don't need to respect him. So if Sergey Kovalev is looking for respect before that first bell rings, then that's a mistake, because Andre Ward isn't going to give it to him now or when that bell rings. He's going to have to earn it. He's going to have to take that respect from Andre Ward. Andre Ward is a fierce competitor. Outside the ring, he's a nice guy. He's a family man. He's a God-fearing man. But, when it comes to this sport, he is a fierce competitor. He's just like Michael Jordan was a fierce competitor. Andre Ward is a fierce competitor. And if you're already hearing things from Kovalev like, "Oh, well, he doesn't respect me," you shouldn't need his respect to fuel you. You should have, enough determination with the magnitude of this fight to not go looking for respect from your opponent. You need to go there and take that respect from your opponent. And now you're also hearing things like John David Jackson saying, "Oh, well, we don't even know if we're going to knock him out. This fight may go the distance." Well, you weren't saying that 6 months ago, so you're already changing your tune on Kovalev not knocking him out, because before you said the first punch that Kovalev hits him with was going to take his head off and he was going to knock him out and make him run. Well, now you're changing your tune. So let's see what happens on Saturday night. But again, I think Andre Ward is already in Kovalev's head, already in John David Jackson's head, and that's half the battle right then and there, because this sport isn't all physical; it's mental. And if you can frustrate your opponent, you can make your opponent think twice about things, make your opponent have self-doubt, then that's all the benefit to you come fight night.
All right. So, hey, listen, man, there's a lot on the line on Saturday night. But let me talk about this real quick before we go to the phone here. Pay-per-view. Obviously, it's on pay-per-view. I think it's a good pay-per-view. I think it's a worthy pay-per-view. I do think you should buy it. Robert, will you buy this pay-per-view?
Absolutely. And I've been now I don't know what the price is going to be, but I've been saying all along I expect it to be at least $75 HD.
Yeah.
And it's well worth the price of admission. It's going to be cheaper to buy the fight on pay-per-view than it is to go to Las Vegas and actually buy tickets. Okay. You definitely need to buy this pay-per-view. This, in my opinion, is the fight of 2016. Let's see if it lives up to it.
All right. What about you, Beeb? You paying for it?
Of course I'm paying for it, man. I'll pay for two pigeons fighting on the street, man. I'm sick. I buy them all, man.
See, I think that's the thing that people, the big misconception is that, you know, like Beeb or myself will watch it free on Cody or whatever. We'll watch it some other way, whether it's Facebook, whether it's whatever. The thing is, when you put on a worthy pay-per-view, I'll buy it. I bought UFC 205 last night. I don't have a problem with that. You know, when you put on which was only $59.95 on HD, so I'm just throwing that out there. I think boxing is way overpriced. But when you put on a competitive fight, I think you owe it as a boxing fan to buy the fight. When you put on Pac-Man, Jesse Vargas, yeah, that's not cutting it. That don't cut it, son. You got to put on something competitive. You put on something competitive, people will watch it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't go for that. But let me tell you this. On Saturday, there's a lot at stake. The undisputed championship of the world is at stake. Beeb's reputation is at stake. Why is Beeb's reputation at stake? Because the man on the line with me right now, they've got a bet. Loser is going to get pied. The loser is going to take a pie to the face right on the air. We'll either have the video of it or Beeb is going to do it live on the air if Kovalev wins. If Kovalev wins, Beeb is going to take a pie in the face right on the air, son. Georgie Porgy, are you on the line?
Banana cream. Banana cream. Yeah. Hey, yo.
Oh.
What's going on, guys?
What's happening, man?
What up?
This is the man.
First of all, guys, let me say, Jojo Dan, I give you my respect, brother. You are a hell of a fucking man. Coming to the U.S. to get beat up by this man, because you got limited skills, knowing that you got less punching power, and that dude was like twice your size. Props to you, brother. Props to you. I hope somebody gives you another chance in a fair fight. So that being said, we got this bet. Definitely, B's reputation is on the line, but the amount of the respect that I've been hearing for you guys is unbelievable. That is crazy. All three of you guys taking war.
That's right, we are.
Yeah.
We are three intelligent young men. We're three intelligent young men. I mean, what do you expect?
Don't forget handsome. I'm very handsome.
We know what we're doing on this show.
Listen, point number one that I'm going to make, to have the talent and to be as sharp, like I said in a previous call, in this level, top of the line, top notch, right there, you have to face real competition. You can't be having no 2 years off or no battle with Largest and whatnot and face the opposition that you face. Because when the real McCoy show up with a punching power that is going to show up early, we're going to see what happened and how he adjusts. And man that haven't lost since he's 12 years old, right?
12 years
That's
old.
That's correct.
Yep, 12 years old.
That's correct.
The man with the best skill since Mayweather. That's what you guys saying. Right?
Yeah, I think that
I'm saying that.
got a lot of skills,
I'm saying
man.
He's right up there with Mayweather. Yeah.
I think he's better. You know what? I've been saying it for years that I thought
wanna-
that he was better than Mayweather pound for pound. I've always had Ward ahead of Mayweather for the last couple of years. Even when Mayweather was thought to be on top of the pound for, I've always had Andre Ward ahead of him.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to tell everybody who's listening that we live in an illusion, people. These mafias show you what they want to show you against whatever they want to show you. So by the time we realize that the dude is not really what we think it is, we are already on the bag. Who you think is going to fill up the spot of Manny Pacquiao on HBO? The same way the Al Heyman made the Leo Santa Cruz versus Final fight is the same way that HBO setting that fight with Stevenson. Kovalev against Stevenson. I don't want to hear that he got robbed. I don't want no excuses. If he make it to the 12th round and my pick ended up with his same day race, I don't want no excuses. Because you guys should know better than this. It's a great show like always. It's a great show like always. Always listening back. This is what's going to happen. Who you pick up on the little Santa Cruz beef against Maris?
I picked off Frampton.
Right?
I picked off Frampton.
I know we pick up the same one on that one, but the previous one, you pick up Maris.
Yeah.
Didn't you?
Yeah,
you didn't see the setup. You
picked Santa Cruz though when he fought Frampton.
No,
I picked Frampton.
No, there's video there that you can check. I did not. You did.
All right.
And you didn't see it coming. Robert, you remember that? What was it? Cueva? What was the Chinese dude that they fought back to back that was Fight of the Year?
Miura. It wasn't a Miura?
And I told you that he was about to get robbed. I told you, but you say, how come you're going to say that this fight, how could you know Robbie's not fighting with me? I remember that. It's like, how could you say that this guy is going to lose when there was the best fight of the year nobody knew? And what happened? He lost and Robbie came out saying what? Oh, they robbed him. But the week before I told you that, and you didn't realize it.
Well, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. Let me talk for a minute. I'll tell you this. Look at Beeb, man. Beeb's gone crazy. All right. Here's the deal, though. Robbery or no robbery, whoever they say, whatever decision they make, we live with. Whatever decision they make, we live with.
Yes, sir.
Whether you think he got robbed or he didn't get robbed, somebody's getting pied Sunday. That's the deal.
Yes, sir.
Somebody's getting pied. Whether you thought he was robbed or whatever, we live with the decision. He's getting pied. Somebody is going to. And you know what? The best part is, I know it ain't me.
I want to tell you guys why you guys going to lose. So you guys thinking that this is like beyond. This is not. It's an illusion, baby. I'm telling you. My dude only got to make it to the 12th round. That's all I'm saying. And if he hit him and he knock him out, even better. But my dude I got the upper hand. My dude only got to make it to the last bell.
He thinks Sergey Kovalev paid off the rest and the judges. Oh my God!
Hey, you know what? I would go along with that. If he was with Rabinski, I would go along with that. But that ain't happening.
But I already gave you proof. I already gave you 2 fights that I was right and you guys were wrong. And using the same logic. What I always talk about these mafias. This is the same thing that I always talk about. Over and over and over. Now I got to pay the world for them to recognize.
The one thing, I tell you what, man, the one thing I will say is I think HBO, if they had their druthers, would definitely rather see Kovalev win than see Ward win. Kovalev is a much more exciting fighter than Ward. That's no denying that. It is.
All day long.
Ward, let me tell you what, if you're promoting Ward, that's a hard sell. That is a hard sell on pay-per-view. Kovalev, definitely a much easier sell. He's an action fighter. You know he's coming forward, and you know he's going to try to knock you out, man. But Ward is he's a tough sell. He's like trying to sell Guillermo Rigondeaux. He really is. It's a tough sell. So HBO, if they have their druthers, he might have something here, man. I tell you what, if it goes to decision, who knows? Who knows? He doesn't have Rabinski in this corner, but who knows?
Before, you know, I've been right before.
Absolutely.
It's just like these people don't want to see the light. They just want to see, you know, they get the illusion what they want to give you. And I mean, I've seen this. We're the same age. I'm 44. How old you are, Beeb? 40 something?
I'll be 47 next month. I'm your dad.
So we're about there. You know what I'm saying? So we've seen the same. We've seen the same from the Don King era. We've seen the same from all these mafias. I'm just sick and tired of them. You know?
Georgie,
Another thing that I want to say, this fight, this Danny Garcia fight with Vargas, it wasn't Vargas on the Facebook as a sparring partner, and Danny Garcia took it out, and nobody saying nothing. ESPN don't say it, nobody saying, not even people right here on the YouTube say nothing about it. It's crazy. They want to live their dream. Everybody want to live their dream. Baby, but what's real is real, and that's the reason why Canelo got this 154-pound shit. What the fuck is that? I mean, people, I don't understand. I just don't get it.
Eric,
Yes.
can you imagine me breaking down the fight and saying Sergey Kovalev's going to win because the
Because
mafia?
of the
is involved?
mafia.
I can't have that in a breakdown. I can't have that in a breakdown.
That happens. It's not true.
You know what? He's right, though. I got to be honest, man. I mean, look at the Louis Resto thing. Look at the Louis Resto thing. Look at Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis won. You know, somebody was involved in that, man. I mean, that's just not – I mean, that was a one-sided fight. And then look at the Louis Resto.
Robberies all the time.
How about the Bo Holyfield one in Madison Square Garden where there was a riot after the fight?
Yeah, I mean, so he's got a point, but
that happen in this world. We've seen people with titles. We've seen people with titles, and even degrees of something in society. Like somebody said, "Cop is a good person," or he's the judge is a good person, or he's the whoever put in the fight together is a good person. No, he's just another human being like you and me, who got the same fault or even worse because you're dealing with money and money corrupt. That's the oldest saying in the world. The root of all evil.
So what kind of pie are you going to throw in your face next week? Is it going to be an apple or is it going to be a...
Whatever you choose, baby. I'm a man of my word, but it's not going to happen.
All right.
Remember that the force
Bye.
in me.
All right, I want you to throw an apple in your face. You know why? Because I want that stuff to slide down the front of it. I don't want it to be a cream pie and have it trying to stick right in your face. I want it to be an apple pie, so that shit goes down the front of your face and drips down. That's what I want.
all right, so I got an idea here. How about you guys are both from the Massachusetts area? You guys are both from Boston, right around that area. Boston cream pie.
There you go.
There it is, baby.
All right, Boston cream pie it is.
There it is.
Boston cream pie it is.
I love it.
Hey.
I love
guys,
it.
I know you guys, it's a big show. I know you guys got a lot of people on the line. I want everybody to support because you guys don't ask for anything. And when somebody don't ask for anything and take the time of the day to come here week after week and give you this for free, have to be supporting and applaud. And thank you guys.
Very much. Thank you,
We're
sir.
never gonna put this show on pay-per-view. That's a promise.
Absolutely. No, we don't have our tin cup out, man, so no way. Awesome, man. Cannot wait for next weekend.
All right.
There's a guy in the chat, Exisco. I think he brought up a really good point. I didn't even think about this. He says that Jay-Z put on 3 concerts for Hillary, but couldn't do the same for Ward Kovalev. He said, way to promote the fight. And he's right. You know what? I never even thought about that, but that's right. I mean, Hillary he was putting on concerts for Hillary and everything like that, and for the presidential or the election and stuff like that, but nothing for Ward Kovalev. I mean, not a thing.
You know, I've got to ask a serious question here. What kind of promoter is JC? I mean, he was out for the presidential election, but he didn't even support his own fighter. I mean, what kind of promoter is that? Why would you sign with somebody that doesn't have your back?
I'll tell you exactly what kind of promoter Jay-Z is. All right, and this is coming straight from Rock Nation. I called them a few days ago. I was talking to Marina over there. She's the publicist over there at Rock Nation, and we were just talking and everything like that. She was telling me that 95% of the people in the Bay Area that actually covered Ward are not getting credentialed to this event. You know, credentials are going elsewhere and everything like that. But you think about that for a minute. All those guys that were homegrown with Ward from the Bay Area are not getting into the event unless they purchase a ticket. You know, and these are guys that have been with Ward
Yeah, no.
who made him the guy he is now because they're the ones covering him. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I think that
Yeah.
sucks. I think that really sucks because, you know, if anybody deserves to be there on Ward's big stage like that, because clearly they probably couldn't have, you know, if you're a homegrown guy, you know, supporting your guy from the Bay Area, and, you know, clearly you're not going to be able to go to the Super 6 tournament over in Europe. You know, it's just not working for you. You know what I mean? So this is a chance, big fight, and you can't get in because there are all these things, the credentials are going elsewhere, not to your home guys. I think that sucks. I think it really, really sucks, man. And if I was
Yeah,
a boxer, you know, man, a couple places I would think twice about going to, this may be one of them, you know, because like I said, I mean, he's over there throwing concerts for Hillary and everything like that. Hillary ain't fighting for him. Hillary wasn't fighting for him. I mean, this is your business, man. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. All right. So right now, everybody's asking themselves, hey, what about Beeb's record? All right. What about this? The beating the odds with Beeb, he's throwing down 135 bones. All right. $135. That's a lot of shekels. All right. On this fight. And can you guys see this? Beeb, can you see this?
Yes.
All right. Perfect. All right. So on Ward Kovalev, he's got $135. So what does this mean here? So I'm looking at it right here. 250 is your bankroll, and then you're betting 135.
No, you have to go to the top of that. Where's the top of that? There it is.
All right. So
our total balance is 500.
Your total balance is negative 50.
Won 306. No, it's 511.
Where do you see that at?
$500.11 balance.
What am I missing? All right, what am I missing here? Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. 511 right there. All right, so Beeb's got 511 bones, and he's betting 135. Now I got to ask you here. Because you're betting 135, you're getting 100 back. Why didn't you put more money on this fight?
Well, this is the system. The way we designed
the Beeb's betting system.
The beating the odds with Beeb system is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I don't want people to bet the rep money on fights. I want to make this fun. Now, you know, we have 13 losses and only 9 wins.
That's correct.
And we still managed to muster up a $500.11 bankroll. And we started with $150. So we doubled up our money, almost tripled up our money, and it's been a long marathon. But if we continue to go on the pace we're going at, in about 10 years we'll have about $10,000. It's almost like a 401k plan, basically. In about 5 years, I meant to say we'll have $10,000. So this is not a marathon. It is a marathon. Excuse me. It's not a sprint. And I don't want to encourage people to bet their life savings. I don't want people to bet the rent money, bet the Christmas gift money. I want this to be fun for everybody. Now, you could say, Beeb, well, if you doubled up all the money that you bet, you'd have like $1,000. You'd have, $3,000 if you really started betting heavy on these fights. But again, that's not what this system is about. This system is to show you that you could have you could lose more of the time than you win and still make money if you have value plays. If you look at these fights, look at some of these fights we hit. We've hit 4-1, 3-1, and 5-1 fights on here. You know what I'm saying? So we've got a lot of value out of our picks on here. When Tyson Fury won, we got a plus 420 on that. We've gotten some value plays here. We've doubled and tripled up our money on some of these bets because of the odds. And, this is a 50-50 fight, but honestly, I think Ward should be a 2-1 or maybe a 2-1 favorite here, and he's almost even money here. So the 135 is a good bet for us to make 100.
Are you surprised that the odds are that close on this fight?
Beating the odds
yeah, I mean, Ward's a minus 135, Sergey Kovalev is a minus 115.
Yeah, I'm shocked that it's that close.
But beating the odds would be will never tell you to bet your life savings on a fight. Now, what I do with what I do on the back end is my own personal business. I don't want to encourage people to do what I do, but if I'm going to advise people, I'm not going to tell them to bet big money on fights. I want this to be fun.
Absolutely.
So beating the odds with Beeb has an overall record of 9 wins and 13 losses. That puts you in journeyman status.
Well, again, it's not how many wins you have; it's how much money you have.
That's true.
We're in the plus here. We have a $511 bankroll, and we started with $150. I mean, we're doing well.
Okay,
we're doing well.
Yeah, and just to clarify here,
if we bet.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was saying.
Imagine if we had a $10,000 bankroll, and we tripled up our money with $10,000. That would be $30,000. Think about it.
Yeah. Okay.
And just to clarify, Beeb is 9 wins and 13 losses. There's 19 fights total. But what you don't see is like say on the Golovkin. Okay, there was it looks like he was betting on there like some of the parlay type stuff and the what do they call those the side bets or whatever. What do they call those, Beeb? Proposition bets. That's what it was. Yeah.
Prop bets.
He's got the prop bets. Okay. So now if you look at this and you look at the interesting thing about the spreadsheet, and my favorite part of the spreadsheet, of course, is if you look at it where it says event and then it says his odds and it's got his money down and everything like that. If you look at the column, which it's in the F column, and you see all the W's there, those are my picks on beating the odds of Beeb. These are the same odds that we picked. Those are the same odds we picked, same fights we picked and everything like that. So as you can see, my record, while Beeb is 9 and 13, as you can see, my record is a little bit more palatable there at 15 wins and 2 losses. And after Saturday, of course, it's going to be 16 wins and 2 losses.
Well, what's your bankroll, Eric?
Where's your bankroll?
Let me tell you something. It's in a Swiss bank account under wraps.
I'm hearing crickets.
Under wraps, son.
I'm hearing crickets.
It's under wraps. Let me tell you what. My bankroll's so big, I had to hire another guy just to count it all for me. Okay, that's where it is.
Yeah, right.
You know what the fact of the matter is, when you bet on boxing, you're looking to get value plays. So if you bet on the favorite all the time, you're not going to get any bang for your buck. So when we bet on Tyson Fury, he was a plus 420. So we got our $100 back plus our 420. There were some other fights on here, if you look closely. We bet on Victor Postol versus Lucas Batiste. Lucas Batiste was a plus 225. So we bet 100 and we got 100 back plus our 225. So, I mean, when you look on here, it's not about wins and losses. It's about the most bang for your buck on your picks. So imagine in boxing, if you were to bet on boxing continuously, lifetime, odds are that you're going to be wrong half the time. But the thing is, when you're right, you want to get value for your plays. You want to hit a live underdog. You want to hit a 3-1, a 4-1. And basically, when you hit a 3-1 or you hit a 4-1, hitting a 3-1 is essentially like winning 3 bets. Hitting a 4-1 is essentially winning 4 bets because you're tripling and you're multiplying your money by 4. So it's like, that's how you got to look at it. It's not about being wrong or right. It's about making money if you're going to do this gamble.
Right.
That's how you got to look at it. You can't.
And the thing to remember is
perspective, guys.
Go ahead, Robert.
Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
Oh, what I was going to say is the thing is here, when you're gambling, no matter what it is, whether it's football, whether it's whatever, anything over 50% is good. 60% is great. 70% is very good. Beeb's got a 69% right now. So that's very good. So, yeah. And that's what you have to consider too, is that, when he goes and does this, I mean, even if he's got a 9-13 record, that sounds horrible, but it's not. Not for gambling, it's not. Because like I said, he's going to take, maybe the prop bets that you wouldn't normally take, like the over-under, like I'm looking at it right now, Anthony Joshua, Charles Martin, he took the under, which he won on. Stuff like that. So he takes in like the long odds, like Khan, who's at 454, Well, he bet $50 on Khan over Canelo. So if he takes Khan and he wins that fight, that's a giant thing. But he didn't risk that much on it, so the loss doesn't really mean as much. You know what I mean? So 9-13 is a good record. 15-2 is much better, but I digress. But yeah, 9-13 I can understand. That's not a bad record. Go ahead, Robert.
All right. I was going to say, think about this. Remember when Buster Douglas fought Mike Tyson in Tokyo? What was his odds? 42-1.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you're a person from Ohio who was a close personal friend of Buster Douglas, and you actually put $100 on that fight, and he actually won, how much you'd walk away with? Those kind of things in boxing don't happen that often. So you do have to be careful, and you have to know what you're doing when it comes to breaking down these fights and actually risking money.
Absolutely. And 70% in all seriousness, man, 70% is good. 70%, that's where you want to be.
Yeah.
Well, think about it though. Say you hit a 7-1 or a 10-1. That's going to give you a big cushion in your bankroll, so you could lose 2 or 3 fights more.
Oh yeah.
Still be on the plus side. So it doesn't, you know what I mean?
For sure.
So by hitting that, the 4-1s and by hitting those 4-1s and those 3-1s and those 2-1s, they cushion the blow of the losses, basically. So you got to look at it like that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And another thing to consider with this Ward Kovalev fight, guys, how many top level fighters do you actually see willing to fight one another who don't have a loss? How many? I mean, we haven't seen 2 undefeated fighters at the top level fight for quite some time. You got to give these guys props.
Well, another thing I'm a little disappointed on is I didn't do a beating the odds with Beeb for Trump Clinton.
You would have cleaned up on that one.
I know we're going to get into this later.
Yeah, you would have cleaned up on that one.
And if I actually bet on Trump, I would have made $550 if I put up 100. So I would have had my 100 plus 550. I would have walked away with $650 if I put up 100 on Trump.
Complete. Yeah, you said it. You know what?
I should have done a beating the odds Beeb on that.
You know what? Yeah, you should have, man. And I even thought about that too. And you were the only one. You were the only one that said, I think he's going to win. And I says, man, the polls are just, they're just too blue, man.
My girlfriend said he was going to win too. I got to give her credit. She picked him too. So we both should have put down some money, and then we could have had our Christmas shopping up, bought and paid for already.
Well, that would have made it interesting. And that's, go ahead.
In all honesty, guys, I mean, nobody predicted this. The media got it wrong. The posters got it wrong. I mean, Tuesday was a hell of a night.
Let me tell you what, a whole lot of posters got fired on Wednesday.
The Beeb Vision.
The Beeb Vision.
Yeah, the Beeb Vision saw this, though. The Beeb Vision saw this literally 6 months ago. And I was contacted by the Mass Eye and Ear the other day. You know why? Because a lot of people, they get LASIK surgery, right? We're actually working on a new operation. It's called the Beeb Vision operation. We're going to give people the opportunity to have Beeb Vision. And insurance is going to cover it. Because Beeb Vision just sees things that other people don't.
It's getting deep in here, son. I love it. I
think it's time to move on.
Oh, all right. Let's move on to our news and rumors here. We only got a little bit of time left, so let's try to get through this here. Kell Brook says he's going to keep the welterweight title. IBF champion Kell Brook says he won't give up his world title and is plotting huge unification bouts for 2017. Kell Brook, as you know, is managed by Eddie Hearn, so the huge unification bouts will probably not happen. If he does hang on to his IBF belt.
Kell Brook's going to have to worry about Earl Spence before he can do any unification belts.
That's what I was going to say. If he does happen to keep his belt, he's just going to have to shine it up and give it to Errol Spence here in a couple of months. So good luck with that. Look, I think everybody gives Kell Brook a lot of credit, and as well he deserves it. He's a great champion. However, at the end of the day, you went in there with Triple G. You were competitive for a couple rounds, but you got beat, and you got beat soundly. That doesn't mean you're going to be a terror at the welterweight division again. I don't think, not to mention he's got a damaged eye socket, or he suffered a damaged eye socket in that fight. This could be dangerous for him going forward, man. I just, I don't know. It's going to be a tough one. Good fight. It's a good fight, but
I'm not sure he's going to recover mentally from that loss.
No,
as well as physically. I think that's going to, cause psychological damage for him. Like that was a real bad beating he took in that fight.
You're talking about a guy. Yeah, you're talking about a guy.
What Golovkin did, guys, is he.
Go ahead.
I was going to say what Golovkin did, guys, is he basically softened Cal Brook up for future opponents. I mean, there's no way that Cal Brook is ever the same fighter after the beating he suffered.
I don't know about that. I mean, I'm just saying that because I thought I would have favored Errol Spence prior to Triple G, prior to the Triple G fight. But yeah, I mean, that you're talking about a guy who didn't lose, who didn't think he could lose, and thought he was. I mean, he was there to win that fight, and gave everything he could, and came up short. And he didn't come up short. He came up short in a big way. I mean, he was demolished in that fight. I mean, and he put up a good account of himself, don't get me wrong, but I mean, he was wiped in that fight. There's no way he could have beat him, So that's a tough one. That's a tall order for Cal Brook. It's a tall order moving forward too. So we'll see what happens, man. Richard Schaefer signs the Balderas brothers. Ringstar Sports, the newly formed promotional company headed up by longtime boxing exec Richard Schaefer, made another big move last week when the company signed a highly touted 2016 U.S. Olympian Carlos Balderas, along with his brother Jose Balderas, to promotional agreements. Ringstar will represent the two amateur standouts as they turn professional, and he'll guide them, and we'll see where he goes with this. This will be interesting. I mean, Richard Schaefer has gotten a lot of heat, and rightfully so. If you don't know who Richard Schaefer is, he was the guy from Golden Boy who was working side deals with Heyman, getting most of Golden Boy's fighters to sign with Heyman, and then he was sued and then out for a while, but now he's back with his own promotional company. So we'll see how that goes for them. But
what he basically tried to do was steal the company from Oscar. That's what he basically tried to do.
Yeah, it was bad. It was not very good. Not very good. And a lot of people expected him to sign up with Heyman or Floyd Mayweather, but he kind of surprised a lot of people when he did his own thing. So there you go. There you go. All right, Beeb, it's time for our train wreck of the week. My favorite soundbite of all time. All right. So our train wreck of the week. We have a lot of UK listeners. And a lot of our UK listeners probably thought that Brexit was the worst political move in history. Well, it turns out the U.S. has won up to that one. That's right. This week, Donald Trump has won the election for President of the United States of America. Let that sink in for a minute. God bless America. Donald Trump won the election. So all of you guys who thought Brexit was a bad move, hey, we got you. We got you beat on this one. So now, let's move ahead to somebody who hates Donald Trump. That's Bob Arum. A lot of people hate Bob Arum too, so it doesn't really matter. Bob Arum said there's a 75% chance of Maypac 2. They're not officially in negotiations, but Manny Pacquiao's promoter tells TMZ that there's a 75% chance of a rematch with Floyd Mayweather. We spoke with Bob Arum, who said the two camps are on great terms. In fact, when Floyd sat ringside for Manny's fight this weekend, it was all thanks to Team Pacquiao. Floyd called us and asked for tickets, Arum says. It was a great sign. I'd love for the fight to happen. I'd make it 75% that it does happen. Arum, who's been in the fight game for decades, says simply, he doesn't believe Mayweather's fighting days are over. Arum, as quote, based on my experience, I feel like Floyd's getting the itch to come back. We'll see. Robert, are you a big fan of that fight?
Yeah, Eric. Well, I firmly believe that fight will take place Cinco de Mayo weekend 2017, and yes, I will buy the fight.
You will buy the fight. Wow. Beeb, you believe that fight will take place? Will you buy it?
I already got my plane tickets. I'm going to Vegas.
Oh.
It's already reserved.
Wow.
It's already reserved. I'm already going to be there.
Beeb said he's going to buy.
They
he's
need
going
to be in Vegas.
be
He hasn't
there.
been there in a long time. He's going to get comped at the Mirage Buffet. He's ready.
Nice.
And this will probably take place in Floyd's personally owned hotel, the MGM Grand, because that's where he always fights.
They're going to give Beeb a nice suite in there. He's going to be ready.
There you go. Joseph Parker and Andy Ruiz. That fight will happen on December 10th, and it will take place in Auckland, New Zealand, in Joseph Parker's hometown. That's going to be an interesting fight, man. I wouldn't sleep on that one. I think Parker's going to take him, but a lot of people going with Andy Ruiz on that one. Should be very interesting. To say the least. This was a sad one, man. A 15-year-old dies in a Russian boxing tournament. A criminal investigation was opened after a 15-year-old boxer died following a competitive bout in a Russian youth tournament. Anton Sidoporov was knocked down twice in a fight Saturday following blows to the head at the sports club in the city of Vladimir, about 110 miles east of Moscow. The main agency said that basically it was an unsanctioned bout. Authorities also said the tournament had been organized without input from the regional boxing federation. So not necessarily it was unsanctioned, but it was not really well organized, and it wasn't. Nobody really knew what was going on. So after the referee ended the fight, reportedly Sidorov's third bout of the tournament, the young boxer began to have convulsions. He was treated by medical staff, but died in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. Very unfortunate, man. And I tell you what, I mean, if it's not sanctioned, you shouldn't be fighting in it anyway. And I sure hope somebody's held accountable for that, for sure. Robert.
Yep.
Your boy is back, and he's going to be back with a vengeance. Your boy, Zanfir Promotions, has announced that former WBC middleweight champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. will return on December 10th at Monterrey,
my boy, Eric.
in Monterrey, Mexico. Chavez Jr. will take on Germany's Dominic Brich in a 10-round super middleweight bout. Robert, you think he does well?
Yeah, he's beating somebody we've never heard of, and we've been doing this show for how long?
That's right. They added another fight to the Hopkins Smith undercard here. Newly crowned WBO cruiserweight champion Alexander Usyk will make his highly anticipated debut in the States against Tabiso Munchunu of South Africa on December 17th in the Fabulous Forum in Inglewood, and that'll be televised. That'll be a good one. I want to see Usyk again, man. He looked pretty good in his last fight. Nonito Donaire wants an immediate rematch with Jesse Magdaleno. I've heard a lot.
Wow.
That's one thing. Donaire told Ring TV, I'm truly blessed. I know exactly what to do the next time around, and that's why I go out there and bring it out for an immediate rematch with Jesse. He said, I knew it was an incredible fight, and everybody loved it. The second or third time will be an amazing thing to do. I never thought that I lost that fight. I was the one getting out there. I was the one landing the cleaner punches. It wasn't every round that he had numerous amount of punches over me. I made the fight happen. I was the aggressor. For him, it was a survival thing, especially the later rounds. Very, very interesting. So let me ask you. So Donaire says, go get him for me again. And I say, you know what? You just had him. What? You had your shot.
Seconds.
You had your shot. So you just had him. Corey, I know you're on live. Just keep holding. I know it says 90 seconds. Just keep on holding. We'll get to you. Golden Boy.
Well, you're the only one that hears that. We don't hear that, Eric, when we're on the blog talk thing. So.
I think the YouTube guys hear it. I think it's on YouTube also. I hate that girl.
Nope.
I hate her. Yeah. I don't care. I hate
her.
No,
you're the only one that hears it, brother.
I don't care. You know what?
Yep,
I hate her.
60 seconds.
She just said it every 30 seconds now. She's in my ear like some pelican, squawking. Get rid of her.
We should fire her.
I want to fire her. I've been wanting to fire her for a long time now. Golden Boy.
Well, Eric, you're the computer. You're the computer guy. Figure it out.
Yeah, you're darn right I am. Let me tell you that. Golden Boy Promotions CEO Oscar De La Hoya has worked with many fighters during his time as a promoter, but he may not have been giddier about any signing since the Mexican star Canelo Alvarez in 2010. That is, De La Hoya announced a multi-fight promotional deal with lightweight prospect Ryan Garcia. Garcia is he's 18
10
now.
seconds.
He's 6 wins, 0 losses, and 5 KOs. I've never heard of this guy, but apparently Golden Boy is like over the moon with this
Neither
guy.
have I.
Yeah, apparently Golden Boy is over the moon with this guy. So there you go. And some more sad news to report here. Chocolatito's trainer Arnulfo Obando passes away. The sport of boxing in Nicaragua mourns the death today of a boxing trainer, not today, but Arnulfo Obando, a longtime coach of Chocolatito Gonzalez, passed away on November 10th at 9:15 a.m. in a hospital in Nicaragua. Obando had to be rushed to the hospital on Monday, the 31st, after suffering a stroke. Reportedly, he complained of weakness in his arms and had a bad headache before collapsing. He had to undergo surgery on November 2nd due to an aneurysm and remained in intensive care days later. However, doctors informed the family that Obando was unfortunately brain dead and he had suffered irreversible brain damage. So he was on a ventilator, and I guess nature took its course, unfortunately. Sad thing. So just, as I was reading this, and it says he complained of weakness in his arms, bad headache, go to the doctor. My God, get to the hospital. There's so many onsets of that you can prevent, or if you recognize the signs, you can call and get help and everything like that. So definitely do that. All right, so let's go to the phone here. 804, you're live.
Hey, buddy, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, what's going on, man? How are you?
Corey, we got you.
Hey, how y'all doing tonight, man?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Good.
That's good, man. It's a crazy election, man. It's a crazy world we live in now, man. But
how crazy was that? Yeah, right?
Give them a chance. So
yeah, you have to now.
But yeah, one of the before I started off, one of the people in the chat room wanted to ask me, how does the chronic in Massachusetts they just legalize it? That's for Beeb. That's for Beeb over there.
Beeb, how is it?
Man, I don't smoke. I'm high off life, baby. I'm high off life.
Beeb doesn't. Beeb's gonna get the edibles. It's all good. He's gonna get the brownies and the lollipops and everything like that.
No. Beeb doesn't need that stuff to feel good. He already feels good every day, baby.
Well, it's legal here in California now too, guys. It passed on Tuesday as well.
Well, and that's for recreation because it's been legal there for a while.
I'm gonna start it off. I'm gonna start there. I'm gonna start it off with the Danny Garcia fight. It's Team GSG, baby. I told y'all he's gonna get it done.
Look good.
That was a no-brainer. I was pretty much 100-1 underdog. Vargas was, but he got it done. The fucking melee inside the ring was awesome. I mean, that was just awesome. I mean, on a 1 to 10, that had to be like a 20, man.
It was good.
On, the anticipation. We're here, baby. We're finally getting it. How do y'all feel about it?
I can't. That's going to be one of the biggest fights. It's taking place in March.
I was getting pumped up, man, when he got in the ring and they were going at it like that. That was like WWE, man. I love that.
We need more of that.
And then Angel Garcia was pointing in his face and everything. I mean, it was just melee everywhere.
Yeah.
It was almost like when Mike Tyson got to fight. You know what I mean? He was ready to fight all the sheriffs. Everybody got in the ring at one time. You know what I mean? It was just crazy. I mean, did anybody see it live? I seen it live on Spike TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was nuts, man. It was nuts. And they had enough security in there, so you knew. I didn't think anything was going to happen, but it was. It reminded you of that old school, like WWF, you know, when they're in there, they're talking, and then next thing you know, they're all separating each other and everything like that. It was awesome.
Yeah, so I got to talk about that. So yeah, I got, you know, in that fight, I mean, when it comes up, you know what I mean, I'm kind of biased to the fact that I've been following Danny Garcia since he was on ESPN. So I'm kind of biased to the fact. And, you know, since he, you know, fought, you know, Kendall Holt, you know what I mean? So I'm pretty much biased to the fact of him fighting Keith Thurman. And to be honest with you, Keith Thurman is my brother's favorite fighter, and Danny Garcia is my favorite fighter. And they're finally happening, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My brother doesn't know a whole lot about boxing. But he was just like, you know, he asked me this 2 years ago. He said, before Danny moved up, he was like, this was after the Lamont Peterson fight. He's like, hey, is there ever a chance that Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman will fight? And I'm like, bro, I don't know, man. They're in 2 different weight classes. Because he slept over my house one night. I'll make a quick story. He fell over my house one night, and there's a fucking train passing by my house. But there's he fell asleep one night, and he slept over my house, and he woke up to Keith Thurman obliterating this Mexican. And I mean, he was just like, oh my God, who is this guy? Oh, that's Keith Thurman, bro. He was just like, that dude's awesome. As soon as I woke up, he was knocking the dude out. I was like, okay. And I mean, from that day forward, he loved that dude. And I was just like, you know what, man? That's a good fighter too coming up. And then that's when he started talking shit to Paulie Malignaggi in the interview, remember? So, I mean, he likes him, and, you know what I mean, I like Danny, and they're finally going to get it on in March, baby. Let's go, baby.
It's a good fight, man. That's a toss-up fight, man. That's a good one.
Oh, that'll be a good one. I'm looking forward to that one.
Hey, and it's free. It's free. It's not on pay-per-view. It's free.
I got to talk about it. But then I got to talk about, did y'all see Angel Garcia talking about Terrence Crawford? That was crazy, man. He was pretty much in him, man. I mean, he really got into him. I mean, he really got into Terrence Crawford's feelings, you know what I mean? Because, to be honest with you, from what I'm hearing is, it's 1-1 in the amateurs, you know, Terrence Crawford and Danny Garcia, you know what I mean? So it's pretty much 1-1. And, you know, Angel Garcia was like, we send the nappy head boy home. You know what I mean? So it's pretty much crazy, though, you know what I mean? So, yeah, so it's pretty much crazy. So then Terrence Crawford came out with his own YouTube thing and was just like, you know, stay off the drugs. Don't do drugs. Say no to drugs. That's what Angel Garcia's on and shit. And it was just fucking melee, dude. So fucking moving along though. This fucking Andy Ruiz, Joseph, and moving to the heavyweights. I gotta talk about the heavyweights because they're on the rise. I told y'all a couple shows ago that y'all have got to watch out for David Hayes. He's a legal threat now. Because Andy Ruiz versus Joseph Parker is going on December 11th. The fucking winner has to immediately face David Hayes. It's already set in stone. I think that's a winnable fight for David Hayes. What do you guys think?
Yeah. With either one of those guys, Parker doesn't have a whole lot of experience, and it's interesting. Now, whether he can do it or not is a different story.
Be honest.
It's definitely a winnable fight for him, for sure. No question. Definitely a winnable fight. B, what are your thoughts on it?
David, what's your thoughts on it?
I think David Hayes definitely has a shot, man, because both of those guys, you know, they have defensive liabilities. They can get touched. And that's all David Hayes needs to do is touch you a few times. He can get you out of there, man. Even in that fight with Klitschko, he was still hurting Klitschko. Like, Klitschko's face was busted up, man. Even though Klitschko didn't get hit a ton, the very few times he did get hit, you know, the punches had an effect on him. So David Hayes is definitely an explosive puncher, and he's definitely quick. You know, and this division is you know, it's lined up perfectly for him right now, the way it is. Tyson Fury is out of the way. Klitschko's probably going to be out for a year or two. So he could definitely pick up a belt. Definitely, he can pick up a belt.
And remember, Wilder's hurt, and we don't know when he'll be back.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna talk about. That's what I was gonna talk about too. That was my next thing I was gonna talk about the heavyweight. They said that right now that Deontay Wilder and Huey Fury are in our mid talks right now. They're midway through the process.
I don't hate that fight.
Wow,
that's a good fight.
Wow,
I don't hate that, man. That's for sure. That's not bad.
Do you think Huey Fury? The cousin of Tyson Fury, do you think he's ready? Because his last fight, I think it was against Takam, or it was another solid black guy he was facing, and I mean he did not look that impressive.
Was it against Takam? Because I know Parker fought Takam. I think Parker fought Takam, but I can't remember who Huey Fury fought last. But yeah, I think I don't think Huey Fury wins the fight, but I think he makes it interesting. I don't know that, like I said, man. I don't know if he wins it.
Huey Fury fought the guy. Huey Fury fought the guy that Amir Mansour knocked the fuck out cold. You remember that guy? Did y'all any of y'all see that? That was on like I think it was 5.1. It was.
You're talking about? Are you thinking of Gerald Washington?
No. Amir Mansour lost to Gerald Washington. I thought.
Fred Cassie.
I'm talking about a guy, Amir Mansour.
Oh, Fred Cassie. That's it.
Yeah, that's his last one. He
barely squeaked by.
It was a technical decision. Yeah, let me see if I can find this here. It looks like a technical decision. It went 7 rounds.
Yeah.
Fury was cut above the left eye in an accidental head clash. So that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, his face was fucked in that fight, dude.
Yeah, it was from a headbutt though.
On the level, but I'm being honest. I'm being completely honest with y'all. If I was Fury's handlers, I know they got a little bit of time on their hands because Tyson Fury is going to be out for at least another year. So I know they got a lot of time on their hands, but I'm telling you, why would you rush this dude? This dude isn't even 25 yet. He's not even get his man strength yet. Fury, that's the young Fury out of both of them.
22.
About 21, 22.
22, yeah.
This dude is young. You're gonna send him to the Wolves with Deontay Wilder. This dude is gonna obliterate this dude. This is my personal opinion.
Well, is this her idea? Is this her idea of a tune-up fight for him? I don't see the logic behind it.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean. Wilder has to fight the winner of Stavern versus Povetkin, and that's a done deal. They're fighting for the interim belt on December 17th in Russia.
Right.
That's a done deal. And for you motherfuckers in the chat, yes, I do know my boxing. Talking shit about me. Yes, I do know my boxing. I'm very good with my boxing etiquette. Thank you very much. But yeah, back to what I was saying. I mean, like I said, you know what I mean? When it comes to Deontay Wilder, you can say what you want to say about him. But I mean, he's pretty much done what he's had to do. You know what I mean? He's gotten shaken up by John Molina. I don't think that Joshua versus John Molina is going to be any walk in the park for him.
You mean Eric Molina? John Molina is fighting Terrence Crawford.
Yeah, well, you know the Molinas, yeah. So the Molina, the heavyweight Molina, he pretty much hit Deontay Wilder with a shot in that fight that I thought that could have almost stopped Deontay Wilder's career. Like he could have took the belt from him with that one shot. Did y'all see the shot? It was like in the 7th round. And I mean, he hit Deontay Wilder with a shot that made him do the stanky leg. I mean, he was just dancing in the ring like he didn't know where he was at for a minute. And it was pretty much the same exact shot that Dylan White caught Anthony Joshua with. Did y'all see that shot too?
Yeah, Dylan White caught him. Yeah, he for sure caught him.
Yeah, that was no joke.
No.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, when Molina's fighting Joshua, if Joshua's not on his A game and he's looking past him to fight Klitschko, it could be upset, dude. I'm telling you right now, it could be upset. You heard it here first.
And
because Molina is fighting for a country, trying to be the first Mexican to ever win a heavyweight championship. So I mean, you know what I mean. So I mean, that's something to think about in y'all notes. When you think about the heavyweight division. You know what I mean. I guess they're not counting the guy Roy Jones beat. I thought he was Mexican.
Yeah, I think I'll tell you what. I'm still kind of buzzing on the Fury Deontay Wilder fight. I think I don't think it's a gimme.
They're in deliberations right now on where the fight's going to be held at.
Yeah,
they're already in talks on where the fight's going to be
held
at.
That's a very interesting prospect for me, man. Because I tell you what, I don't think it's an absolute gimme for Wilder. I'm not saying Wilder doesn't win. I'm just saying it's probably not. It's not exactly a walk in the park. You know.
It's not a walk in the park.
It's a good fight.
It's too soon for Fury.
I think so too. I think
he's too young.
That's a rush. You know what I would like to see? I would like to see Dillian White versus Wilder. That's what I would like to see.
Fury.
That's a good fight.
I would like to see Dillian White versus Fury.
That's a good fight too. Man. Dillian, and I want to see him fight some. I want
to see Fury fight. I want to see Fury. Fury, however you pronounce his name. I want to see him fight somebody notable. Gerald Washington, he could fight him.
Yeah. What happened?
Yeah, he could fight him. He could fight. He could fight Amir Mansour. You know, he could fight any of those guys.
Yeah, I was just
But
going to ask about him. He hasn't fought in a while.
Ask yourself this question. Ask yourself, all y'all on the panel, answer this question. Who the fuck has Fury's heart to be matched up with Deontay Wilder fucking very next?
Absolutely nobody.
Nobody, but this has been kind of Wilder's MO, though. I mean, and not necessarily his MO, but they've been putting, you know, they haven't really put him in against with stellar competition. You look at Anthony Joshua, they've been putting him in there with, you know, they want to put him in there with named guys. They're talking Klitschko, they're talking, you know, and I think this is the fight with Eric Molina is going to be very interesting because that's going to be a very good barometer because they're going to measure it just like they did in the fight before with Garcia and Errol Spence with his opponent. They're going to do the same thing with Eric Molina and say, let's see how Joshua handles him versus the way Wilder handled him. You know what I mean? So that'll be an interesting fight.
And remember, it took Wilder 9 rounds to get rid of Eric Molina.
Yeah.
And this is another thing I want to talk about. I don't want to switch subjects, but it's still in the heavyweight division because I really like the heavyweight division. I told y'all a couple calls ago that the heavyweight division is in the all-time rise right now. I mean, as soon as those belts freed up, I told y'all this a couple shows ago, it's just freeing up so much fucking money. Klitschko had so much fucking money and time invested in those belts. And fucking Tyson Fury just lost them all. Like, he didn't give a fuck. I mean, that's hundreds of millions of dollars within those belts. Just think about all the money that's been freed up in the heavyweight division.
Tons. And not
the
to mention...
heavyweight division is the... Yeah.
I was going to say, not to mention that the belts have been fractured now. So, you know, now we have a whole new influx of people coming in. So you got, you know, your Anthony Joshua's now who can get a shot at that belt. You got your, you know, Deontay Wilders. You got your, you know, Furies. You got, you know, now it's not just one guy holding all the belts. It's, you know, and then you got your Joseph Parkers.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, it's live now. It's live.
Yeah. And from what, and just imagine if we can just get a glimpse of one heavyweight, you know, to hold them, you know what I mean? To be not a born heavyweight though, you know, more along the lines of a Mike Tyson.
Oh wow!
You know,
yeah.
When Mike Tyson held 3 belts, just imagine all the money he accrued from that. You know what I mean? He accrued way more money than Klitschko did holding 3 belts. And just imagine if, you know, we can get one good heavyweight, you know what I mean, that can hold, you know, 1 or 2 belts, you know what I mean? I mean, that'll be mega because the heavyweight title is pretty much the mecca of sports. You know what I mean? I know Mayweather is pretty much giving the little guys, you know, the shot, man. 147 is the division. But just imagine for so long, for so many years before the Mayweather scam and before the Luis Ortiz scam, the heavyweight division was the thing, you know? The Cassius Clays, you know what I mean? The Joe Fraziers, the heavyweight division, the Rocky Marciano, the heavyweight division was key. That was what boxing was about. And I finally think that it's back, man. And I wanted to touch on the heavyweight boxing this weekend with Malik Scott, you know what I mean, and Luis Ortiz. I think it was far from a barn burner.
That was a disaster.
That was a tough one to watch, man. That's a tough one to watch. Yeah.
Hey, baby.
That was a tough one.
Barn burner, dude.
Yeah, that was far from fight of the year.
That was a doozy.
That was a sleeping pill kind of fight. Okay.
That was one of the best fights I've seen in a long time.
That was the best fight I saw from 4:30 to 5:30. You know.
And yeah, this is what I was going to ask Beeb, though. I was going to ask Beeb, you know what I mean? Like, I know you know, pretty much, you know, you follow pretty much every division, you know, for the most part. But I wanted to know, you know, what fighters, you know, y'all should have a segment on the show, you know, once a month or whatever, that you should, you know, have fighters that are on the rise. Because I think the guy that's on the rise is the guy from the Danny Garcia's card, and his name's Swift too. You know who I'm talking about?
Jared Hurd, yeah.
I think he's pretty good.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, he won.
Did y'all watch him?
Yeah, we
He
did.
won yesterday, but he didn't look impressive, man.
But I'm gonna tell you one thing though. Did you see the bio on him? This dude gave up boxing, and you know he was working at like a food line or a Safeway or something, a grocery store, and his trainer wound up dying, and he got a new love for the sport and wound up coming back. And I mean he had a barometer fight about 2 or 3 fights ago that catapulted him to this position at all. You know what I mean? And what it is he fought another undefeated fighter, and he was the underdog. And if you go on BoxRec, he was the underdog. And what it is he had wound up, you know, winning impressively. I think he might have knocked him out. And I mean, what it is that catapulted him to, you know, undercards now, where he get televised and stuff, you know?
Yeah. You know, it's funny that you mentioned that because we had talked about, we used to do a lot of interviews early on when we first got the show and everything. We used to do a lot of interviews early on. And it's something we may go back to. It's definitely something we may go back to for sure because, you know, it's sometimes it's hard because you got to adapt around their schedules. We have our schedules and that kind of thing. We all got jobs out of here, you know. But sometimes it's hard to adapt to the schedules and everything. But that's something we're definitely going to look into because I enjoyed doing the interviews and stuff like that and talking to these guys and kind of find out what makes them tick and that kind of thing and, you know, what their thought process is on this and this. And, you know, so absolutely, it's definitely something we're going to look into.
And this is the last thing I want to talk about before I hang up, because I'm not going to take all y'all's time, y'all listeners' time. I want to tell y'all right now that I just found out today that I don't know if y'all talked about it because I was working before I got on the phone today, but I didn't listen to any part of the show until just now. So I'm gonna tell y'all right now that I just found out online that Gennady Golovkin and Carl Froch are in deliberations now per Loeffler.
I did hear something about that. You know what?
Yeah,
I did hear something about that, and I saw it on the chat also.
This is serious.
That's a big fight. If it does go down, that's a big fight. You know, my question is, what do they do at that point? What do they do with Daniel Jacobs? Because he's the mandatory. You know, what do they do with him at that point? Because I don't know that they pay him step aside money.
Eric, I think one of the problems is they're having trouble negotiating with Jacobs and Heyman. So I think Tom Loeffler is trying to look for other avenues to keep Golovkin busy because remember, he was supposed to have a fight they were supposed to fight in December, and of course now that's not going to happen. So I think Tom is trying to do his best to keep his fighter busy, but make sure it's a big enough name that people want to see.
Yeah, it's a real interesting fight. I mean, I think it's a huge fight, you know, if it goes down. But I don't think that fight comes off. I'll be honest, man. I really do. I would be shocked if that fight came off. It's a huge money fight, though.
Well, what it was is they were supposed to fight before this, but they couldn't get the weight right. You know, Fox wanted him to come up a little bit more, and Gennady Golovkin, his trainer Abel Sanchez. That's a lot of controversy over Abel Sanchez and the way he talks and the way you know what I mean. He's really cocky with his fighter. And I mean, he pretty much said that, you know what I mean, Carl Fox wanted him to come up to 168, 170. And pretty much around that area. And, you know, pretty much they didn't want him to go up. You know what I mean? Because, you know, if he goes up that far, you know how many other fighters is going to be calling him out after that? You know what I mean? I mean, like I said, you already got your Badu Jackson, you got your James Gales. But, I mean, those are not household names. This I was looking at the Guinness Book of World Records, and they had a fucking boxing segment on there. And guess who was the biggest crowd in a boxing arena? In a boxing stadium, soccer field.
Froch Groves, wasn't it?
The fucking Paul Froch Groves fight.
Yeah.
Believe that? That's a lot of people, man. It was over 100,000.
Yeah, I've got the quote. Actually, I've got the quote right here. Speaking to James Heidler of IFL TV, Golovkin's promoter Tom Loeffler said the following on discussions with Eddie Hearn. Quote, I was talking to Eddie Hearn the other night, potential Froch fight. We're working on it. Chipping away. I mean, he's retired, but I think the longer it goes out there could be some interest in it. I know Eddie's interested. Eddie wants to do a big event. I think we can break. Well, I know that we can break Froch's record for 80,000 tickets. So there you go.
There you go.
And Corey looks like he just dropped off here.
Well,
Corey, are you still on? You're off.
Yeah.
He just dropped off. Shoot. Don't know what happened. Corey, if you're listening, we're sorry about that. We're not sure what happened. Just dropped. So there you go. Sorry about that.
I think he said he had to go because he was working.
Oh, was it? Okay. All right. Well, hopefully he hung up the phone and we didn't disconnect him on accident there. All right. So yeah, that's very interesting. I don't, and look, man, Froch had a chance before he completely retired, to go ahead and fight Triple G, and they couldn't get him to do it. He said no. So now that he's retired, he wants to come back and see what he can do. I don't even think a prime Carl Froch is a good matchup for Triple G, or I don't think he's a good. He wouldn't be.
No, Eric, I don't know if this fight happens, but hey, I appreciate a guy like Tom trying to keep his fighter busy. I mean, the Jacob fight was supposed to take place on December 10th, and of course, that's not going to happen. This tells me, with Tom talking to Eddie Hearn, that the negotiations for Danny Jacobs aren't going well, and so he's probably He's probably thinking, well, I need to move on to somebody else, unless he gives up negotiating and calls and tells the sanctioning body, the WBC, I think it is, or WBA, to call for a purse bid. I think there's trouble in negotiations here. That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, and two, just to clarify this too, Eddie Hearn had come out the other day saying that this was a joke, this was not real or anything like that. This has come. Tom Loeffler has spoken after that. So Tom Loeffler today has said, no, this is legit. This is the fight we're trying to make. But now, while you and I kind of view this as a stay busy fight, this is much more than that. This is a money fight. I mean, this could shatter that 80,000. I mean, him coming back as a national hero since 2014. It's a huge fight in England.
Oh, yeah.
But again, man, this is, nothing more to me anyway for Golovkin as a stay busy fight. But from a business standpoint, this is enormous.
I don't think if this fight happens at all, I think it'll happen after Golovkin fights Canelo, because they already have the agreement in place for those two to fight in September. I don't think Golovkin moves up to 168 until he fights Canelo.
I disagree. I think this is a bigger fight. Well, I don't know. Attendance-wise, it's a bigger fight. In Europe, it's a bigger fight. I don't know. The Canelo fight obviously is bigger over here. I don't know. They're both big fights for him. So but again, this is putting the pen to paper, and that's the problem that Golovkin always has. Whether it's Eubank, whether it's Canelo, whether it's whoever. Right now, he's got to take, let me tell you what, if I'm Loeffler and that fight presents itself, I don't care when it is, I take it. I don't care what's on the thing, because I'm not 100% certain that Canelo is taking that fight. And you can say all you want about they have an agreement. I don't know that they have a written agreement. They might have an oral agreement or whatever. And the bottom line is they don't have a contract. And if you don't have a contract, you have nothing.
That's right.
So that goes by the wayside, man.
Beeb, you're the UK guy. What's your thoughts on this?
I don't think it happens. I just don't see Froch coming out of retirement. I don't think that the fight really means anything to him. Weight's going to be an issue too. Does Golovkin come up to 168? Because I know Froch, who's been retired for a little while, probably going to be hard for him to go below 168. So I just don't think the fight's going to happen. Maybe it's just rumor. I think it's just rumors.
Yeah, I think this is a long shot fight. I think this really is a long shot fight, man. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. Next week, the Fantasy Welterweight Tournament returns with Sugar Ray Robinson versus Thomas the Hitman Hearns. And I can't wait for that one. Cannot wait. And that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert, or you can call Ringside Robbie's Corner at 773-572-7781 and listen to all the podcasts and fights. You can catch Joe Habeeb on Twitter at jhabeeb1, and find his YouTube channel at www.beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. I'm at Ringside 73, and we will see you next week.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you for using Blog
Goodbye.
Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right, give me a second here. I got to unmute everything.
Oh, you're still live.
All right, there we go. Okay, one more thing, and we should be all set here. Okay, let me see. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, but we're still live.
Let me see, why can't I hear you? Should be able to hear you. Oh, okay, that's why. Hold on. You hear me?
Yeah, but we're still live.
No, the phone just hung up and we still X'd out.
No, but I'm seeing the live on the